Chapter 1236. In front of Mount Sumeru, Gu Qingshan was hovering in the air. Countless sprites of light flew out from his left eye and slowly circled around him. Gu Qingshan could sense a sense of joy and excitement from these sprites of light. "Our hope," the worlds whispered. "If that's the case, there's no need to wait any longer. Go." Gu Qingshan endured the intense pain coming from his eye and said. Hearing his order, the sprites of light flew towards the divine mountain and slowly entered it. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. All of a sudden, the divine mountain of Sumeru suddenly gave off a pure prismatic light that illuminated the boundless void. A total of 6 worlds appeared in front of Gu Qingshan's eyes. As Gu Qingshan's gaze passed through the samsara worlds, she found that the laws of the samsara world were gradually becoming more complete. From now on, those who reincarnated into the worlds no longer had a choice. They first had to enter Huang Quan and reincarnate into the world from there. This was the correct method of reincarnation. The divine mountain of Sumeru was the first to correct this problem after obtaining the power of infinite worlds. Gu Qingshan's gaze fell onto the heaven realm, only to see that the people he guided to the heaven realm were all busy constructing the heavenly palace. Those who were able to reincarnate into the heaven realm were all people with great willpower and strength. Their willpower and determination definitely couldn't be compared to normal mortals. Inside the heavenly palace, a strand of immortal essence emerged from the clouds and silently seeped into those people's bodies. They began to be nourished by the immortal essence. One day, they would completely break away from their mortal bodies and become true living beings of the heavenly realm, then slowly grow until they finally become heavenly beings. This process would be a long one, but they wouldn't need to cultivate to reincarnate into the heaven realm, so there wouldn't be any issues. Unlike cultivators who had to go through countless dangerous heaven's tribulations to become heavenly beings. Gu Qingshan silently watched for a while, then suddenly covered his right eye. Complete darkness. His left eye couldn't see. Carrying so many world fragments had caused great damage to his left eye. Gu Qingshan looked at the war god UI. Sure enough, a line of glowing text was already there. Note: you are blind in one eye. Gu Qingshan sighed helplessly. All of a sudden, the godly MT Shumi's radiance retracted. Everything returned to normal. Baiju's figure appeared and smiled at Gu Qingshan. Big bro Gu, I really don't know what to say. You've resolved the 2 problems of the divine mountain, so there's nothing for us to worry about from now on. We just need to live our lives in peace. Looking at his bright smile, Gu Qingshan pondered for a moment and said, I can't stay here for long. Baizhua, you must remember one thing. As a cultivator, you must never have peace in your heart. Why? Baizhua asked blankly. Because all the stability in the world is a fleeting illusion, a sandstorm that you can't control, a dangerous wall that you can't lean on, Gu Qingshan said. Big brother Gu, I don't understand, Baizhua said. Let me ask you, why was the divine mountain almost destroyed back then? What were you fighting for? And why were you able to return from the dead? Gu Qingshan asked again. He asked further, if I didn't come to face the tribulation last time, what would have happened to the human cities behind you? Would your parents and loved ones be able to survive from the ghost army's attack? Baizhua thought for a bit, then slowly shook his head. Gu Qingshan reached out a finger, pointed at him from afar, and spoke in a low voice. Remember, there's only a single path in this world, and that is to become stronger, strong enough to protect everything around you, an azure light flashed. Gu Qingshan followed the light and was transported to the summit of Mount Sumeru. Baizhua stood still for a long time. The summit of the divine mountain. Gu Qingshan appeared and looked down. The divine mountain didn't make things difficult for those cultivators and pixies, but the samsara world was vast, so they had no choice but to travel as fast as they could, hoping to reach the summit as soon as possible. The clouds around them scattered. Heaven and earth resonated as an indescribable power manifested. Gu Qingshan stood at the summit of Mount Sumeru, silently sensing the vast, invisible power in the sky. This was the power of the divine mountain. The Divine Mountain had requested two things from Gu Qing Shan, and Gu Qing Shan did it. And now, the Divine Mountain was about to fulfill its end of the bargain. Lines of glowing text quickly appeared on the war god UI. Frowny face, you've helped the Heavenly Palace fill its first population, as well as helped the Divine Mountain of Sumeru obtain enough world origin. From now on, the Divine Mountain of Sumeru will return to normal operations. The Divine Mountain of Sumeru will upgrade your Mahesvara Thaumaturgy Orange Mountain to the Sumeru Thaumaturgy most suitable for you in accordance with your Cat King epithet as a reward for your actions. Your Mahesvara Thaumaturgy Evil Suppressor Orange Mountain will evolve. The Divine Mountain has gotten used to communicating with you through your spear. Please hold the true Crimson Demon Spear, just like last time, and wait for the Divine Mountain of Sumeru to connect with you. Gu Qing Shan then took out the true Crimson Demon Spear and held it in his hand. The invisible power in the sky abruptly descended, coiled around the spear, and flowed into Gu Qing Shan's body. Arc. Gu Qing Shan was enduring the power of the Divine Mountain with everything he had. All of a sudden, he noticed that the invisible power on the spear was slowly giving off faint starlight. A line of text appeared on the war god UI. Frowny face, the broken souls of the infinite worlds are blessing you. They're grateful for everything you've done for them. Your Sumeru Thaumaturgy has changed. Please wait for 5 seconds. Your Thaumaturgy's evolution will soon be complete. 5, 4, 1. Complete. Your Mahesvara Thaumaturgy has evolved into a Sumeru Thaumaturgy. Special note. Due to the blessings of infinite worlds, this Thaumaturgy had mutated in accordance with your epithet. You've obtained the following Sumeru Thaumaturgy Orange Sovereign Transformation. Mutated. When you use this Thaumaturgy, you will transform into the Orange Sovereign and obtain the following abilities. Energy Absorption. You will no longer absorb origin power of the soul from the void of space, but through eating and devouring, the origin power of the soul you obtain will be doubled. Ghostly Shadow of Night. After nightfall, you will be able to communicate with supernatural artifacts. After receiving their permission, you will be able to borrow one of their abilities once per night. Reading the description of Ghostly Shadow of Night, Gu Qing Shan felt his heart jumping. The power of the Divine Mountain of Sumeru, combined with the blessings of the broken worlds, definitely resulted in this ability. Gu Qing Shan looked down. The others hadn't reached the top of the mountain yet. There was no one else at the top of the mountain, so he couldn't help but feel tempted and unleash the Thaumaturgy Orange Sovereign Transformation. An orange cat abruptly appeared at the top of the mountain. The orange cat looked at his tail, body, paws, then stroked his ears and whiskers before slowly narrowing his eyes. This is the Orange Sovereign? Nothing has changed at all. Fortunately, the Thaumaturgy has changed. The orange cat glanced at the sky. It was currently a bit dim, but it was still the time of night after dusk. The orange cat spread his paws and meowed towards the sky. A few moments later, an interested woo-woo sound resounded from the sky. Adorable had agreed. Receiving its agreement, the orange cat immediately activated his Sumeru Thaumaturgy, Ghostly Shadow of Night. He slowly melted into the darkness of the night and disappeared without a trace. The orange cat crouched on the ground and looked at himself. He couldn't see himself either. The orange cat slowly began to run. He didn't leave any traces behind where he had run. This way, no one would be able to discover his whereabouts. The orange cat slightly nodded. This borrowed spotless jade was quite interesting. Other than that, Ghostly Shadow of Night and Adorable's 100 Lanterns were very different. 100 Lanterns could borrow an enemy's power, but only once. Ghostly Shadow of Night could borrow the power of supernatural artifacts and could be used for an entire night. The orange cat slowly walked around the top of the mountain to experience the wonders of this thaumaturgy. If I can completely meld into the darkness of the night, a lot of things will become easier to do. His fighting style would also undergo new changes. A Sumeru thaumaturgy is truly amazing. Although it doesn't look any different from a Mahesvara thaumaturgy, it's definitely a more useful thaumaturgy. While thinking that, the orange cat continued to move forward. After a while, he abruptly stopped and retreated. At this point, the orange cat was at the back of the mountain. in front of a large rock on the cliff. He turned to look at the void of space outside the cliff. Meow, the orange cat called out in a low voice, his expression turning serious. Just now, it suddenly discovered that there was a slight fluctuation of spiritual power outside the cliff. Strange, this seems to be a spirit energy seal of Baihua sect. The orange cat pondered for a bit, recalling the scene of his previous tribulation. At the time, I left first. Could it be that Shifu discovered something here? She knew that I would eventually come to Mount Sumeru to face the Sumeru Lord Realm tribulation. So, she left some sort of clue for me. With that in mind, the orange cat formed a hand seal with his paw. Meow, manifest. All of a sudden, a spell emerged from the claw and flew out of the cliff, triggering countless wisps of spiritual light. These strands of light gathered in the void of space and manifested as a flight of stairs leading to the sky. Lines of glowing text quickly appeared in front of the orange cat's eyes, frowny face. You've discovered the divine mountain of Sumeru's path to heaven. The orange cat hesitated for a bit, then reached his paw out and carefully placed it on the stairs. His paw only touched thin air. The orange cat tried a few more times, but still couldn't touch the stairs. He looked at the stairs in confusion. Why can't I go up? The orange cat thought for a long time and tried many different methods, but still couldn't step onto the stairs. After a while, the light slowly faded away. The path to heaven had once again hidden itself, undetectable by anyone. A line of glowing text suddenly appeared on the war god UI, frowny face. You have two identities as a deity of Huang Quan, so you cannot ascend to heaven. Chapter 1237. War God UI. Which two identities of Huang Quan do I have? Gu Qingshan asked. The war god UI replied. In truth, you already know which two identities you have, but since you asked, you'll just tell me? Gu Qingshan followed up. I'll charge you, the war god UI replied. The remaining soul points column flashed, and 200 soul points were deducted. Gu Qingshan, the war god UI, continued. You have two divine armament from the shattered world of Huang Quan, the Devil King Warden Rod and Six Paths Great Mountain Sword respectively, and you are without a doubt their master, so your identities are the Huang Quan Devil King and Six Paths Great Mountain God. If you want to enter the path to heaven, you must give up these two identities, Gu Qingshan pondered. In other words, I must give up these two weapons. Correct, the war god UI replied. Don't even think about it, Gu Qingshan blurted out. Another me had once warned me not to give up my identity as the Huang Quan Devil King. But the other party didn't mention the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword. Gu Qingshan froze. In my mind, the Devil King Warden Rod is important, but it's not like I can't give it up. But the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword has fought alongside me for so long, it's my sword. A sword cultivator would never give up on their sword. If the other me had the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword, he would definitely value this sword more and remind me. Since the other party didn't mention it, then it seems the other me didn't have the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword. On the other hand, if I only had the Devil King Warden Rod, I might have considered the current situation. But if I had the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword, I definitely wouldn't give it up, nor would I give up my identity as Huang Quan. The other me doesn't have this sword. There was no doubt about it. Gu Qingshan sighed. Shifu, seems like I won't be able to find you for now, he silently muttered in his mind. 100 Flowers Fairy isn't a normal cultivator, so there's no need for anyone to worry about her. With that in mind, Gu Qingshan took a few steps back and left the cliff. At this moment, a commotion suddenly came from the other side of the cliff. The pixies and cultivators arrived one after another. In reality, there were demons arriving one after another just now. However, Gu Qingshan was busy checking on the situation on the path to heaven, so she did not bother about them. Gu Qingshan released her divine sense to investigate and found that everyone was present. He dispelled the orange sovereign state and returned to his human form. In an instant, ghostly shadow of night disappeared from his body. The fairies and cultivators immediately noticed his presence. The long-bearded old man was the first to fly over, shouting, "Pay attention. The last one to reach the top is Gu Qingshan. He's going to transform into Wang Qi." Behind him, the fairy kingdom said in a low voice, "Wrong. It's not Wang Qi, it's Wang Ba." The long-bearded old man turned around and glared at the king. "What's the difference between 7 and 8? I think it was 7. What do you think?" He looked at the cultivators who had followed him here. The cultivators exchanged glances and lowered their heads. Gu Qingshan raised her eyebrows and said, "I arrived earlier than all of you. You're cheating." The pixie shouted, "We've been here for a while now, but we didn't notice anyone else at the top of this mountain." The pixie king shouted, "Hurry and transform into Wang Ba. Hurry, hurry, hurry." The long-bearded old man urged. The other cultivators also appeared expectant. Gu Qingshan was speechless. Anything else could be discussed, but he was clearly the first to arrive, yet he still wanted to transform into Wang Ba. That wasn't something he would do. "Hey, I really did arrive first." Saying so, he used his Sumeru thaumaturgy to turn into the orange cat and vanished in front of everyone. "Huh? Where did he go?" The long-bearded old man asked in confusion. From the void of space, a cat's meow resounded. Meow, 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 meow. Hearing that, the long-bearded old man nodded repeatedly. "I believe you. I believe you. You really did arrive first. You shouldn't have turned into Wang Ba." He turned around to look at another cultivator who was wiping his sweat. Before he could say anything, the divine mountain suddenly stirred. Layers of light gathered at the top of the mountain, giving off a sky-high pillar of light. The tribulation had been completed, and now the divine mountain of Sumeru was about to send everyone back to their original worlds. In an instant, rays of spiritual light appeared and fell on everyone's body. Boom! The light enveloped everyone and took them away from the top of the mountain. Gu Qingshan and the pixies were quickly traveling through the void of space, about to reach the void of space where they came from. Meow, meow, oh no. Gu Qingshan's expression changed. "I killed Song Wuzhong there, then borrowed the power of the tribulation to escape. That place should be surrounded by countless wraiths right now. Perhaps even the wraith lords are there." Without hesitation, Gu Qingshan released 3 coins with a wave of his paw. The Angel of Condemnation, the Demon King of Order, the Bramble Great Tree. The 3 coins resonated miraculously with each other, corresponding to their respective symbols. 2 rays of light flew out from the Angel of Condemnation, coin, and the Demon King of Order, coin, into Gu Qingshan's body. The Great Bramble Saint Tree. Coin gave off a light that struck the faint image of a great tree behind him. The Great Bramble Saint Tree had received Lola's order to stay by Gu Qingshan's side. The 3 powers had gathered. Meow, 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 meow. Gu Qingshan loudly called out. Although the long-bearded old man still couldn't see him, he loudly replied, "All right, let's go together." Gu Qingshan's mind moved. Boundless black fog flowed out from the 3 coins, quickly spreading and enveloping Gu Qingshan and the pixies. Patrol activated. The void of space around them instantly disappeared. A shining river of light appeared in front of everyone. The river of time. Everyone hovered above the river. Gu Qingshan looked at the river as well as the mist that was rising from it and sighed in relief. "We're safe now." He turned to the pixies and said, "Meow, meow." Dash, an abrupt change occurred. The pixies only heard the sound of cat meow from the other side, followed by silence. The meow of the cat carried a long note as it flew towards an unknown faraway place. In the blink of an eye, the sound disappeared. The long-bearded old man blinked, turned around, and asked, "He said to wait?" The pixie king replied, "Yes, he said to wait for him. Did he say the word him?" The long-bearded old man asked. According to his tone, he should have said that word, the king replied. "Then we'll wait here." The long-bearded old man made his decision. Gu Qingshan was flying through the endless void. None of the mysterious entities that appeared in the void of space could detect him. An immense force of attraction pulled his cat body toward a secret location that he hadn't seen for a long time. The giant corpse. While flying, Gu Qingshan silently doubted himself. The giant corpse hasn't contacted me for a long time. I've also been feeling anxious, not knowing how it's doing right now. and now it suddenly teleported me there. Could it be something urgent? As Gu Qing-shan silently thought, he was about to dispel his orange sovereign state. It's better for my main body to see the giant corpse. As soon as he thought that, he sensed something and looked down at the purple rope wrapped around his paw. The rope was tightly wrapped around his paw, not allowing it to move at all. This is the twine of cloud atlas that brings luck. Why did it suddenly wrap around my paw? Gu Qing-shan went silent, then couldn't help but recall Lola's words at the time. In truth, I still have an occultism artifact. An occultism artifact passed down from the Bramblebird clan. The twine of cloud atlas. Lola tied the purple hairband around her wrist and said in a low voice, "Don't worry. Its effect is a unique type of luck." Luck? Gu Qing-shan stayed silent for a bit, then maintained his orange sovereign state and activated the thaumaturgy, ghostly shadow of night. From what happened afterwards, this decision of his had, to a certain degree, determined his life and death. After an unknown amount of time, a barren world abruptly unfolded in front of him. Countless black skeletons tirelessly walked on the barren land. A gigantic bronze pillar stood between heaven and earth, both ends of which couldn't be seen. At this point, the orange cat arrived. He lightly landed in the void of space in front of the bronze pillar and looked up, only to see a set of white bones hidden inside a suit of black armor, tightly fastened to the bronze pillar. "Be careful," the giant corpse's voice suddenly called out. Chapter 1238. Be careful. Following this sentence, one of the black skeletons that covered the ground suddenly stopped. The giant corpse's voice resounded from the skeleton's mouth. "I don't know where you are, but I'm certain that you've arrived." The skeleton pointed at the giant corpse. "Hurry. There's no time. Help me kill those insects." Gu Qing-shan looked up. There was almost no flesh left on the skeleton inside the black armor. The bones were full of bite marks. Only the neck and head of the giant corpse still had a bit of flesh that hadn't been completely devoured. A monster with 7 to 8 legs was crawling on top of the skeleton, chewing on the corpse bit by bit. The orange cat leapt up and silently flew towards the bronze pillar. He lightly landed on the giant corpse's shoulder, carefully approached one of the monsters, and carefully observed its appearance. Gu Qing-shan swore that she had never seen such a monster before. This monster was about the size of 2 people. Its entire body was made from black flesh and white bones. Its eyes were a bit blank, but also full of ferocity, similar to a marine animal from my home world called a shark. It had a colorful, diamond-shaped mouth, and a long tongue full of mucus stuck out of its mouth. It licked the flesh of the giant corpse, and the flesh immediately turned into a soft liquid, which was sucked by the long tongue. It was truly unimaginable that the giant corpse's flesh had been completely devoured by such a monster, leaving only the neck and head of the corpse behind. The monster was so focused on eating the flesh that it didn't notice the orange cat who had just appeared. The orange cat silently approached and was about to act. "Be careful. When this thing gets angry, it can spit out over 8 million tons of poison, turning this entire world into a liquid substance that can never be restored." The giant corpse's voice resounded again. "What is this?" the orange cat asked the black skeleton with his inner sight. "An apocalypse door knocker, a terrifying insect that specializes in dealing with me. If it weren't for the fact that you happen to grasp a technique to completely conceal yourself, I wouldn't have allowed you to come here. If you appeared in front of it, you would be eaten without being able to resist," the giant corpse replied. "Apocalypse? Door knocker? What a strange name." The orange cat thought of something and asked, "What if it's an artifact? Will it eat artifacts?" The giant corpse replied, "It won't. It only eats flesh and blood. It doesn't see tools at all." The orange cat sighed. Although it was temporarily invisible, it still had to unleash its weapon when it attacked. If the other party could eat the sword, then it would have to be even more careful. The orange cat began to speed up, turning from slowly approaching to sprinting. It suddenly jumped up and threw itself at the monster. The sword light flashed, only to see the orange cat biting the hilt of an ancient sword and slashing it through the monster's body. In a split second, another long sword came from the opposite direction and split the monster into 2. Swallow returns. Earth's choice. The monster's body suddenly expanded, and it let out an ear-piercing screech. Before it died, it prepared to spit venom. However, before it could complete its thoughts, its figure had already collapsed and vanished from space. The orange cat sighed. The black skeleton on the ground shouted anxiously, "Damn it! Here it comes again! Run!" The orange cat sensed an unimaginable danger. It suddenly sheathed its sword and flew towards the other shoulder of the giant corpse. At the last second, the orange cat leapt up from the corpse's shoulder. And then it happened. A black bolt of lightning descended from above, struck the bronze pillar, and completely enveloped the giant corpse. A terrifying aura capable of destroying everything manifested from the black lightning. The giant corpse's entire skeleton began to twitch from being struck by the black lightning. An intense gust of wind blew. The destructive power of destruction swept across this entire world. A few dozen seconds later, the black lightning finally disappeared. The entire world became silent. All the black skeletons were reduced to dust, trembling nonstop on the ground, trying to reform their bodies, but to no avail. Only a pile of powder gradually gathered together and formed a black skull. Finally, "It's over," the black skull spoke in relief. But the orange cat didn't relax. He hovered in midair, silently retreating far away. He could sense that the danger wasn't over yet. Sure enough, a few moments later, the bronze pillar that connected to the sky began to move. A series of rattling noises resounded. The orange cat looked up. Countless apocalypse door knockers were climbing down the bronze pillar. Each of them had 7 to 8 legs that stuck closely to the surface of the bronze pillar. Their movements weren't slow at all, quickly reaching the giant corpse's body. "Oh no, I'm done for this time," the skull on the ground spoke in despair. The orange cat sent his voice. "Don't you have a way to deal with these things?" The giant corpse's voice resounded. "I've been beaten to the point where I've lost almost all of my power. I'm using the last bit of my power to summon you, Gu Qing Shan. You won't be able to stay here for long, and you won't be able to save me. All things have a beginning and an end. My time is up." He sighed deeply and spoke with a lifeless voice. "You believe that you're fighting against the apocalypse, but you don't know that the infinite worlds have existed for such a long period of time. That was because I had kept the truly terrifying apocalypse at bay. But now that I'm about to die, everything inside the reality gate will be destroyed. Whether it's the inner plane, the eternal abyss, the space-time mystery nest, the 900 million artificial world layers, or even the many parallel worlds, everything will come to an end." The orange cat froze. "Everything inside the reality gate. Could it be that all the worlds I know are actually inside the reality gate? And the place where the apocalypse came from was outside the reality gate?" He didn't have time to think about it any further. The apocalypse door knockers climbed down the bronze pillar and slowly approached the giant corpse's head. There were only a few hundred meters between them, and the orange cat could faintly sense some sort of pulling force. This warp is about to end. The orange cat clenched his teeth, activated ground shrink, and landed on top of the giant corpse's head. "Listen, I still have one last method, of course. You need to be able to move your head." "My head can move?" the giant corpse doubtfully asked. "Yes, can your head move? You don't need any spells, just shaking it. Can you do that?" "That's possible, all right." The orange cat no longer hesitated and summoned a spear that gave off a crimson glow with a single thought. Those monsters aren't interested in the weapon, and they're ignoring it. The orange cat bit the spear, turned it around, and stabbed it into the giant corpse's helmet. A tiny hole appeared in the wall. It was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The orange cat took advantage of this brief moment to turn the spear around so that it was pointing upwards. Unapproachable, infinite worlds condemnation spear? Even though it's only a prototype, it can indeed help me. Very well. The giant corpse's voice suddenly became excited. Following his voice, a faint surge of power appeared on the helmet to control the quickly healing hole. The orange cat held the spear in his mouth and fixed it into the hole in the helmet. After he did that, the hole quickly healed. With their cooperation, the true Crimson Demon Spear was fixed in place. Hurry! Hurry! Do you still have a chance to draw cards? I still need a lot of resources. The giant corpse urged him. I do. Gu Qingshan replied. Draw them all. The orange cat glanced at his card UI. My strength has increased by several levels, so I've accumulated quite a few chances to draw cards. Interplane cards are extremely rare, and Little Dusk knows interplane cards better than I do, so I originally wanted to wait until she woke up to discuss how to draw them. But now, I have to make use of these chances. The orange cat reached his paw out and scratched the void of space. 1 card, 2 cards, 5 cards. He had drawn a total of 5 cards. As soon as the 5 cards appeared, they immediately hovered and circled around the true crimson demon spear. A line of glowing text appeared on the card UI. An unknown power is currently fusing all of the cards into the spear. Would you like to allow it? Allow it. The orange cat firmly replied. It's just a few cards. The giant corpse had helped me so many times before. Originally, I wanted to have the giant corpse shake its head and use the true crimson demon spear to kill those monsters. Although this method is crude, it's the only way. Who knew? The giant corpse would reignite his hope of survival and come up with an even better idea after seeing this spear. Of course I'll support it. Not enough, I still need resources, a lot of resources. The giant corpse said. The orange cat took out his inventory bag from his thought C and pushed it forward with his paw. Fortunately, I managed to rob Song Wuzhong. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but feel a bit fortunate. The inventory bag instantly vanished. The 5 cards also vanished. Instantly, the true Crimson Demon Spear let out a loud woo-woo sound. Lines of glowing text quickly appeared on the War God UI, frowny face attention. The true Crimson Demon Spear has been affected by the advanced smelting technique of the inner plane, currently gaining power and advancing to a higher level. In 3 seconds, the smelting technique will be complete. 1. The inner plane's condemner, the Crimson Demon Divine Spear, has been born. Gu Qingshan turned to the spear. The spear unleashed a red glow that fell onto his body. A young but determined voice resounded in his mind. Leave this place to me. Don't worry. This isn't the giant corpse's voice. An artifact spirit, the true Crimson Demon Spear, has given birth to an artifact spirit? Gu Qingshan was glad. The spear then gave off a sky-high red glow that followed the bronze pillar towards the approaching apocalypse door knockers. Come, Miao Shu House. Chapter 1239. The crimson light passed through the bodies of the apocalypse door knockers and flew even higher into the sky. The Doomsday Gate knockers all stopped in their tracks and stood still. However, they were still intact and had not suffered any damage. Meow. Seeing this, the orange cat doubtfully called out. The immature voice once again resounded in his mind. Other than my original abilities, I naturally have a bit of demonic nature that allows me to use the law of causality to change their target. The apocalypse door knockers slowly began to move. They turned around and began to climb towards the top of the bronze pillar. How miraculous! While Gu Qingshan was thinking, lines of glowing text appeared in the void of space in front of his eyes, frowny face, as the artifact spirit had personally informed you of the divine artifact's power. You've obtained the following information. Rare divine artifact. Condemner of the inner plane, Crimson Demon Divine Spear. This divine spear carries the law property, absolute sharpness. Description. This was the first weapon created by the old gods to harm themselves. Nothing can stop it. This divine spear carries the demonic nature of law, confusing attacks. Description. Once you pay a sufficient price, the demonic nature of the divine spear will be stimulated, causing your enemy to change their target. The demonic nature of controlling all things, forcing all to submit. Gu Qingshan quickly skimmed through all of it, not having time to read through it carefully. At this point, the pulling force on his body was becoming stronger and stronger, almost about to take him away. I'll leave this place to you, Gu Qingshan told the Crimson Demon Divine Spear. The Divine Spear let out a woo-woo sound. Gu Qingshan hurriedly told the giant corpse, I'm about to leave. I don't have time to do anything else. I only have one question. I'm currently fighting against the deity of chaos. Do you have any suggestions? Saying so, the orange cat's figure had already started to hover. The giant corpse knew that he was about to leave, so he immediately replied, "That would depend on which level of deity of chaos it is. If it is a true deity who created the era of chaos, the entire era of chaos would be willing to help him. As he possesses endless vitality and power, he cannot be defeated. He must pay the price of an order. In order to request for an apotheotic combat from the era of chaos." An apotheotic combat? That's right, the era of chaos needs the most powerful god to help the entire era reach its peak. The era of chaos allows carriers of chaos to compete for divine authority, and it will pick the final victor from among them. Remember, only by stripping them of their divine authority can you whoosh. The orange cat instantly went through the blue sky and left this world. Kill that true god. The giant corpse's voice fell. Gu Qingshan did not hear the second half of the sentence. He turned into a rapidly flying blur, shuttling back the way he came from in the endless nothingness. Although he did not hear the second half of the giant corpse's words, he had a general idea of what it meant. Fight for the chaos theocracy? How to fight for it? How to pay for an order? Time was too tight, and there were many details that were not explained clearly. To be honest, before this, Gu Qingshan had always been uncertain. He had been constantly being pursued by the Soul Shrieker, finally managed to follow the Earth Creator's final words to search for a way into the dusty world's secret passage, obtained the Abyssal Saint artifact from the Giant of Beginning, then obtained the power of 3 dragons during the battle against the Wraith Realm. Even so, he was still uncertain. The current Soul Shrieker had already devoured trillions of souls within the 900 million world layers, its strength already immeasurable. Other than that, it also had the support of the era of chaos, becoming the true god of chaos. According to the giant corpse, the era of chaos wouldn't let it die and would continue to provide it with endless divine power of chaos. Fortunately, he had found a feasible solution this time. Then, next, it's time for the decisive battle. In the void of space, a pair of cat paws slowly clenched tightly. The river of time. An orange cat descended from above, landing in the fog above the river of time. The orange cat looked around, only to see the pixies gathered together, having a party. The long-bearded old man was dancing with a young and beautiful female pixie. While dancing, he was singing, "Gu Qingshan is a damned little kitty. He left us in the river of time to play with mud by himself. I heard that he wanted to bring us to save order, as well as save many people. We couldn't help but work together with him. Huh. This is going to be a grand death, huh? You asked me what kind of person Gu Qingshan is, huh? He's a damned little kitty. Meow." All the pixies mimicked a cat's meow. Ah, they all laughed out loud. The orange cat, he suddenly turned back into Gu Qingshan and appeared in front of the pixies. "You seem to be very happy," Gu Qingshan said with a smile that didn't seem like a smile. "Aha, of course. We just wrote a song." The long-bearded old man replied without changing his expression. "What song?" "Listen." All the pixies sang in unison. "Gu Qingshan is a cute little kitty. He left us in the river of time to fight monsters by himself. I heard that he wanted to bring us to save order, because we couldn't help but work together to save those people. Huh. This is going to be a grand adventure, huh? You asked me what kind of person Gu Qingshan is, huh? He's a brave little kitty. Meow." After singing, all the pixies cheered, hugged, and high-fived each other, as if they had just finished a grand impromptu performance. The long-bearded old man wiped the sweat off his forehead and winked at Gu Qingshan. How was it? Gu Qingshan was speechless, but all the pixies looked at him with enthusiasm, waiting for his evaluation. Gu Qingshan could only give him a thumbs up. "Your live performance was quite impressive," the pixies cheered. "All right, we're about to head to that era. Please prepare yourselves." Gu Qingshan said. "What? We're going to fight?" the Pixie King asked. "Yes. This is the decisive battle between order and chaos, as well as the hope of the 900 million world layers. No problem. This is the moment we've been waiting for," the king replied. Then, "Wait a minute. Gu Shan suddenly turned to look at the void of space. From the void of space, lines of text popped up on the War God UI, displaying a message. After reading for a while, Gu Shan suddenly smiled. "So you've already prepared yourself," he muttered. "Same as the age of old," the War God UI replied. Gu Shan turned back into the orange cat and raised his paw. 3 coins were tossed into the air. Black fog filled the air and enveloped everyone. "Listen, we will arrive at that moment together, but I have something else I need to do, so I can't expose myself right now," Gu Shan told the pixies. The long-bearded old man's expression turned serious and loudly declared, "No problem. Let us fight together." The pixies cheered. "Let us fight together." Gu Shan, "Do you understand what I'm saying?" The long-bearded old man glared at her. "Don't look down on us. We won't let anyone know that you're with us. I'll mobilize all the pixies to protect you." The pixies all patted their chests. "We'll protect you." "Yes, that's right," Gu Shan happily replied. "Who said that pixies aren't reliable? Seems like that's just a rumor. Although they like to play around, at least they're reliable when it comes to important matters." With that in mind, Gu Shan activated the power of the 3 coins. An invisible force descended on everyone's body and carried them through the river of time. They were heading towards the most important moment of the past, the world of the spire. Indeed, this is the final order, as well as the carrier of order. The soul shrieker stared closely at Bali and spoke in a hoarse voice. Its entire body was trembling from excitement. After countless years, this moment had finally arrived. Even an entity of its level couldn't contain its excitement. Bali stood on the deck of the ship, lit a cigarette, took a deep drag, and exhaled a ring of smoke. His gaze met the soul shrieker's. "I heard that after you kill me, the era of chaos will fully descend?" Bali asked. The soul shrieker smirked. The boundless chaos was urging it to act, urging it to destroy this final order. Right at this time, suddenly, endless black fog filled the sky as intense winds began to blow. Everyone looked up at the sky. Anna was glad. He's back. His premonition didn't show any signs of danger, so he must have returned safely. Zhang Young-ho and Yi Fei-li exchanged glances and also sighed in relief. "Seems like he's returned." Meow moved her gaze away from her brother and looked up at the sky. Her trembling hands slowly calmed down. "That's great. He's back. Big Bro won't have to fight against the deity of chaos anymore." Boss and Bali's gazes met, both in disbelief. Did he really manage to deal with Magic Dragon? The soul shrieker also cautiously looked up at the sky and roared with uncertainty. Magic Dragon? The god of life? The black fog scattered. Countless pixies descended from the sky. These pixies hovered in the sky, all of them staring at the soul shrieker. Everyone held their breaths. Could it be they have a way to deal with this true deity? Sure enough, the pixies began to move. They abruptly erupted with a thunderous roar. Deity of chaos, listen carefully. Gu Shan isn't hiding among us. It's not convenient for him to show himself. The orange cat who was hiding among the pixies froze. Everyone froze. The soul shrieker was surprised. This isn't it a bit too obvious? It was actually a bit doubtful. The orange cat didn't care about anything else and used ground shrink to appear in front of Lady Black Sea. He was holding a blank card in his mouth. This was the blank card that Lady Black Sea lost in Calming Soul Country. Hey, Hai sent something and smiled faintly. "I've been waiting for you for so long. Finally." She sighed emotionally and abruptly vanished. She appeared on the card. At the same time, the entire War God UI lit up. The UI soul points has reached its activation limit, replenishing the soul origin energy for the card. The world's origin energy is ready. Beginning fusion, essential elements have been generated. Energy rising, evolution commencing, world's apocalypse online. Human Legion is about to descend. Chapter 1240. As soon as the pixie declared that, Gu Shan was already flying towards Lady Black Sea. Everyone froze. The soul shrieker was a bit hesitant, but its killing intent slowly gathered. Time stopped at this very moment. Among everyone here, The first person to react was Anna. Her heart abruptly skipped a beat. If the pixies weren't trying to fool us, then Gu Shan must be hiding among the pixies. He must be hiding because he's thinking of something. In other words, I need to buy time for Qing Shan. Huh, Anna shouted, swung her scythe in the air, and slashed her left shoulder. Her blood fell onto the blade of the scythe and turned into a thick and intense black flame. Anna ignored the wound on her shoulder, raised the scythe up high, and shouted, "Death is the end of all things, the moment when the soul and flesh are separated." She stabbed the scythe into the ground. Black flames erupted from the scythe, turned into a dark shadow, and quickly entered the soul shrieker's body. Mystical law, death's soul and flesh extraction. The soul shrieker froze for a split second. Its body collapsed, but its soul flew out from its body. Just as the soul was about to be pulled away by an invisible force, an abrupt change occurred. Boundless, gloomy aura manifested from the void of space like a waterfall, surging into its soul and slowly manifesting into another body. This was a much larger body filled with boundless divine power. Anna's expression changed. Even death couldn't harm it? Just what level of divine power did it reach? For the first time, the soul shrieker observed Anna properly and spoke with its mocking female voice. Not a bad trick of death. Unfortunately, you chose the wrong opponent. Its voice abruptly turned into a male voice filled with killing intent, roaring, "Death God, the bodies of living beings are your authority, but they are my prison. Escaping from my mortal body will only bring me closer to chaos." Strands of gray air descended from above, manifesting into a blinding light on its hand. The soul shrieker raised its hand. An intense presence manifested from its body like a tornado that swept away everything. Its male and female voices both uttered a resounding roar. "I am the chaos, true God. The power of the chaos era surrounds me and tramples all enemies with me." The gray light instantly shot out from its hand and blasted towards Anna. This was a high-level chaos, holy retribution. In midair, the long-bearded old man's eyebrows twitched. While the soul shrieker was talking, Gu Shan had already sent him a request. The long-bearded old man didn't hesitate and shouted, "Pixies, forest protection!" All the pixies took out their short staves and pointed them at Anna. The dense green light fell on Anna's body and turned into a dark green wooden shield, which immediately blocked the gray divine punishment. Boom! The divine retribution slammed into the shield. Kacha! 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 In the blink of an eye, the short staffs in the hands of the pixies broke one after another. The wooden shield shrunk and shattered at a visible speed. Just as Anna was about to be hit by the divine punishment, a figure suddenly flew out. "Your opponent is me." Bali roared as he stood in the middle of the holy retribution, continuously swinging his fists. His armor was completely shattered, his body instantly turned into bones, then quickly regained vitality and came back to life. Just like that, he went back and forth between life and death several times before the light of the entire holy retribution finally faded away under his iron fists. Peh! Bali spat out a mouthful of blood, barely managed to stand still, and grit his teeth. "That fucking hurts." More and more people realized what was happening. Hayes Den swung the gemstone scepter in his hand and loudly declared, "Light of magic!" Dash the Sky Hayes army behind him all took out the same card and spoke in unison. "Obey your majesty's command." Blinding and blinding light flew out from their hands and gathered on Hazeden's scepter. Hayes Den turned to the soul shrieker and loudly chanted, "Kill it! Light of ghastly gems." A colorful light as thick as a millstone flew out from the scepter and struck the soul shrieker. On the other side, the evil creatures, mages, soldiers, long-range attackers, samsara asuras, as well as the resistors of various worlds all attacked at the same time. The battle had begun. Colorful lights of magic filled the entire battlefield, all of which were aimed at the soul shrieker without stopping. The soul shrieker stood still. Hazeden's spell struck its face, and were instantly dispelled. Ahahaha. Is this the final struggle of ants? Regretfully, your statuses are too low, unworthy to fight against a true deity. It laughed with its female voice. Its male voice began to chant an incantation. I am the true deity of chaos, the ancient servants who prostrate themselves before me. Heed my call and slay the enemies who offend the deity. It hovered in midair, surrounded by boundless gray fog that manifested into a gray wall of fog that connected heaven and earth. Dong, 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 dong. The ground trembled. One after another, mythical creatures emerged from the wall of fog. Monsters of all shapes and sizes. Their bodies were as large as city walls. Their bodies exuded a gloomy aura. Even their breathing caused intense gusts of wind. These were all monsters from myths and legends. Every time one of them appeared, it would bring endless chaos and disasters to the various worlds. Around these monsters, countless carriers of chaos arrived at the battlefield at the same time. The Soul Shrieker coldly declared, "Go, kill, and eat every living creature in sight." Roar. The monsters uttered an earth-shattering roar. On the other side, everyone who was fighting against chaos was stunned. Too strong. These monsters are too strong. Any one of them could at least rival the demigods of the strife zones. How are we supposed to fight against them? Suddenly, a voice resounded. Everyone, listen up. Everyone turned to see that it was Iron Fist Bali. He was soaked in blood, but didn't notice at all and loudly declared, "We are not standing here because we can definitely win against our enemies. We are participating in this decisive battle for the sake of our own beliefs." The crowd went silent. Bali clenched his gauntlets tightly and loudly declared, "The innocent people of the infinite worlds, there might be your family, my friends, his lover. We are fighting for the sake of those who are worth cherishing. If we win, they will be able to survive." His voice became low and slow, but it was still audible in the wind. "Let them live without worry. We swear with our lives that we will protect them. This is the true reason why we are here. Even if we lose." Bali spat out a mouthful of blood, then angrily shouted, "Don't you even have the courage to die on the battlefield?" The crowd became rowdy. "Go," someone muttered. "Just a bunch of monsters. Watch how I cut them down," someone said. "Life and death is nothing. This daddy has roamed the infinite worlds. This time I'm going to take revenge on these bastards. That's right. I came here to die. What's there to fear? Go, go, go." The voices of the crowd became louder and louder, gradually converging into a resolute fighting spirit. They seemed to have completely forgotten just how terrifying the monsters they were facing were. Bali took a deep breath and loudly shouted, "Everyone, follow me. Charge!" Dash. His figure leapt off the ship and landed on the ground, charging towards the army of chaos by himself. A single person was charging towards the entire chaos faction and the true gods. The pixies had already been unable to hold themselves back. The long-bearded old man swung his short staff and shouted, "Pixies, charge!" Hayesden raised his staff and shouted, "Everyone, get on your horses and charge." All the card users behind him released their mounts and shouted in unison, "For the king." The evil creatures and Azura shouted in unison, "Charge!" Gaian clasped his fists together. His entire body erupted in intense flames as he shouted, "Charge! Everyone, everyone who took the initiative to participate in this battle began to move. They charged towards the monsters of chaos and the army of carriers of chaos with everything they had. At the same time, "Is she still not done?" Gu Qingshan hurriedly asked. The war god Ui explained. The reason why Black Sea was chosen by the bygone era humans to guard the Taiwei city wall was because she was the strongest order that the bygone era humans brought from a parallel world. However, she had been weakened for too long, so we had no choice but to spend a bit more time. Thanks to Anna's cover, Bali and the Pixies acted one after another, causing the entire war to break out. The Soul Shrieker had no time to search for him, so was currently hiding here to help Lady Black Sea evolve back into an order. Hearing the war god Ui's answer, Gu Qingshan couldn't help but look back at the battlefield. Both sides were getting closer and closer. The battle could erupt at any moment. If you don't have enough soul points, use mine, but be quick. Gu Shan spoke in a low voice. I'll charge you 1,000,000 soul points? The war god UI asked. Sure. Gu Shan immediately replied. A string of numbers appeared on the war god UI. All of a sudden, Lady Black Sea looked at Gu Shan from her card and smiled. Done. Gu Shan sighed in relief and quickly spoke. Lady, please descend upon our people and help them fight. Don't worry. Chaos is my eternal enemy. I will do everything I can, Black Sea replied. Gu Shan looked back at the battlefield. Bali was at the very front, about to receive the enemy. Without hesitation, Gu Shan turned back into her human form and disappeared. Bali! Everyone! Gu Shan raised the card and loudly declared towards the battlefield. This is the mortal enemy of chaos, the strongest helper I've found. Everyone, prepare to fight alongside order. Gu Shan tossed the card forward. As the card flew out, it vanished into thin air. At this point, Bali had already faced off against the first carrier of chaos. He swung his fist and sent the other party flying with a single strike. From the void of space, a set of metal armor abruptly appeared, broke down into its components, and covered his body. Following that, 2 humanoid soldiers made of pure metal appeared next to him. Bali was surprised, looked at the 2 strangers behind him, then looked up at Gu Shan. Gu Shan raised her thumb to signal that there were no issues. At this point, the second carrier of chaos arrived. Bali raised his fist again. Boom! One of the metal soldiers behind him attacked together with him and sent the other party flying. A second later, the metal armor on Bali's body suddenly fell off. A set of bronze armor appeared and reappeared on his body. At the same time, a gentle flash of light appeared. Bali's presence abruptly rose. Another 4 metal soldiers appeared behind him. Barley seemed to have understood something and burst into a burst of laughter. Aha! Protectors, follow me into battle. Yes, the metal soldiers replied in unison. At the same time, various supernatural phenomena manifested on the charging troops. Hayden stared at the void of space for a bit, then raised his scepter and shouted, I have used countless gems to exchange for this covenant. Come, protector of the gem cards, this is a decisive battle you must take seriously. Within the light of the scepter, a unicorn suddenly appeared, stepping on the moonlight and slowly landed next to Hayden. A monster of chaos? The unicorn snorted. Seems like I'll have to go all out. Guyan reached out a burning finger and drew a pattern of flames in the void of space. He muttered in a low voice, Behemoth of the magma world, with the primordial power of my bloodline, I say, this is the time for the flames to boil. The earth trembled. Lava flowed everywhere. A giant made entirely of fire and rock crawled out. It had the body of a human, wielding a black stone warhammer in its hand. Why did you summon me, son of flame? The giant asked with a resounding voice. Guyan pointed at the other side. Ah, so it was a creature of chaos. They should be destroyed. The giant roared. The pixies were busy in the air. Suddenly, the long-bearded old man chanted a cryptic pixie language. The sky darkened as countless tentacles danced chaotically. The pixie giant cuttlefish had been summoned. This time, it was in perfect condition and was summoned with 100% of its strength. Anna stood on the ship with a complicated expression. Her gaze focused on the void of space and muttered. So there's a divinity template. A long black dress appeared on her body. The black flames of death radiated from her body, covering the entire deck of the ship. Her entire being exuded a sense of mystery and solemnity. She murmured softly, Hound of retribution, black crow of death, you are my servants. I grant you the divine power of death. Come, fight for me. 2 figures slowly became clear from within the black flames. Hound deity and Black Crow had appeared. It's been a long time, our god. Black Crow muttered in a low voice. Black Dog's body slowly grew to the height of a 3-story building, its entire body silently burning with black flames. It prostrated in front of Anna and spoke. Sir God of Death, We shall participate in this divine war together with you. Anna looked at Gu Qin in the sky and clenched her black scythe tightly. Let's go, it's time to fight. On the battlefield, more and more summoned behemoths began to appear. Various powerful attacks erupted from the crowd. A legendary war had begun. Chapter 1241. Anna flew to the sky and landed next to Gu Qin. Go, she ordered. The Black Crow of Death and the Bringer of Death Hound flew straight towards the ground. Black Dog descended from above, pouncing on a large creature of chaos. The two of them began to tear at each other. The Black Crow of Death turned into a stream of black air that quickly flew through the ranks of the carriers of chaos. Wherever it went, the carriers of chaos would fall to the ground, unable to get up again. The people who caught up later found that these carriers of chaos had all fallen into an unconscious illusion, so they killed them one by one. Anna held Gu Qinshan's hand and asked in a low voice, "Is this the power of order?" "That's right. Be careful," Gu Qinshan replied. "Don't worry." Anna flew down. She was slowly moving forward on the battlefield. Any monsters that tried to attack her would fall to the ground as soon as they came into contact with the black flames on her scythe. They were all dead. "Anna, you've grown quite quickly." Gu Qinshan calmed down a bit and looked at the other sides of the battlefield. At this point, Bali was fighting in a frenzy, leading 7 to 8 metallized guards into the horde of monsters. More and more monsters were surrounding him, but the bronze armor he was wearing was completely shattered, replaced by a completely new set of armor. This set of armor was much sturdier than the bronze armor from before. Meow was standing not too far away from Bali, continuously unleashing spatial magic to kill her enemies with invisible blades. Normally, she wouldn't do this because spatial magic consumed a lot of power, so she didn't want to lose too much of her power. As for now, Meow took out a purple glass bottle, opened it, and gulped down the purple liquid inside. Again, with a shout, she pushed forward with one hand. Layers upon layers of black threads appeared from the void of space and shot towards the horde of monsters. Blood splattered everywhere. Countless chaos. Monsters were dismembered. A purple book suddenly appeared in Meow's hand. She squeezed the book tightly. Bam! The book instantly scattered into purple air that was absorbed into her body. Meow's eyes lit up. How interesting. There's actually such a technique. She opened her hands to either side. An empty space suddenly appeared in front of her. A powerful suction force came from the space, sucking in a 5-story tall monster. Meow clasped her hands together. The space condensed into a finger-sized dot. Several breaths later, Meow snapped her fingers. The dot disappeared. Blood flowed out of the void like a river. The monster was dead. Meow reached behind her, took out another bottle of purple liquid, and gulped it down. "I'm invincible," she murmured. Gu Qinshan retracted her gaze. Lady Blacksea's voice rang in his ears. "Gu Qinshan, I'm glad that you came to save me. However, due to the laws of space-time, I cannot return with you. Otherwise, you will be erased by the laws. Who said I want you to go back with me?" "Actually, you don't have to," Gu Qinshan said with a smile. The 3 coins had a skill, cruise. This skill had a specific description, frowny face attention. Whatever you do when you return to the past must not affect what happens afterwards in history. Otherwise, you will be erased by the laws of time and fate, unless you use distortion. In truth, the best choice would be to hide Lady Blacksea in this era. That way, our group would essentially return to the past and fight a battle. But since the Soul Shrieker of this era had already left, if Blacksea were to disappear at this time, it would have the same effect as when she was killed by the Soul Shrieker in history. What happened afterwards in history would also not be affected. Nothing would happen to anyone. The only problem was that none of them could return to the future. Because even if they didn't change what happened afterwards in history, they did change what happened in the present. If they returned to the future at this time, they would definitely be spied on and devoured by the monsters in the River of Time. Lady Blacksea's voice sounded again. "Do you need me to carry you?" "No, now is not the time. I want to know who else isn't carrying an order," Gu Qinshan replied. "Aside from you, There are 3 other people, one of whom is currently fighting against an enemy 500 meters in front of you. Gu Shan followed the direction that Lady Blacksea mentioned. She saw Boss. Zhang Young-ho and Yi Fei Li are carrying chaos, so of course they can't carry the human army. What about Boss? Why isn't he carrying an order? Gu Shan asked. Lady Blacksea replied, because there isn't a suitable profession for him. He is the only deity of the infinite worlds, the inner plane, the king of the eternal abyss, the greatest above the star crown. I don't have a template specifically suited for him, Gu Shan said. Then give him a template with the greatest potential for growth for now. Understood, Lady Blacksea agreed. While Boss was fighting, a wooden blade suddenly appeared in his hand. He was surprised, then asked the void of space. Hey, what's going on? Didn't you just say that there isn't a suitable order template for me? Why did you give me a blade now? Lady Blacksea's voice came. I will now give you the template with the greatest potential. Please use it. Do you allow it? The greatest potential? Boss's frown loosened as he looked at the others. Various spells, various equipment, various medicines, various summoning techniques. TCH, the greatest potential. Boss appeared a bit reserved. Very well. Load it for me. A UI appeared in front of his eyes. Frowny face world's apocalypse online. Army Trooper template has been loaded. I hope you enjoy using it. Boss immediately protested. Didn't you say the greatest potential? Why is it a trooper? Every king starts out as a trooper, Sir. Lady Blacksea replied. At this point, a monster charged forward. Boss put his hand on the book of prophesied destinies. 7 to 8 translucent clusters of light appeared from his body and blasted the monster to bits. Ting, you've leveled up. You can now equip standard private equipment. A leather armor appeared on Boss's body. The wooden blade in his hand was replaced by an iron blade. Ah, so I can slowly level up? How interesting. Boss put the iron blade on his hip and casually took out the dark trident. He laughed. Very well, I'll start out as a trooper, then become a king. While saying so, he wielded the book in one hand and the trident in the other as he charged into the army of chaos. The frenzied slaughter began. After observing the situation of the battlefield, Gu Shan suddenly landed next to Bali, lightly touched his shoulder, then flew straight up into the sky. He went through layers of dark clouds and reached an extremely high point in the sky. Not too far in front of him, the gray fog of chaos scattered to reveal a figure. The Soul Shrieker. It stared closely at Gu Shan and spoke with its male voice. I've used the great power of the era of chaos to completely seal this place off. This time, you won't be able to escape. Gu Shan sighed and replied. Do you really think I'm trying to escape every single time? If I can win. The Soul Shrieker slowly walked out from the fog and spoke. The strongest order of the bygone era humans has been forced out by you. If I let you continue to live, the entire era of chaos will face even more variables. So, I've made up my mind. What is it? Gu Shan asked. You, Gu Shan, are someone who must be killed. As long as you remain alive, the order will never be destroyed. Saying so, the Soul Shrieker's presence became heavier and heavier. The gloomy light enveloped it and formed a circle of light around its body. Gu Shan reached her hand out. The Earth's sword appeared in her hand and lightly swung it. The Soul Shrieker's gaze became heated and muttered. This is the Earth sword. Where's the Heaven sword? She took a day off today. After all, I don't need her to kill you, Gu Shan replied. The Soul Shrieker went silent with an indifferent expression. A spear appeared in its hand. This wasn't a bad one, but a substitute that it found. Gu Shan, I know that you don't value your own life at all, but you won't always be this rational. For example, the lives of others. The spear pointed down at the clouds. All the monsters of chaos stopped and turned to Anna. The true deity has ordered. Kill her. She must die. She's only a new deity, still immature. We can easily kill her. Kill her. All of you kill this little girl. The army of chaos ignored their opponents and charged towards Anna. With just you. Anna gritted his teeth, swung his scythe, and focused all of his attention on the long-range ambush. Gu Qingshan's gaze turned sharp as killing intent surged from her body. The soul shrieker laughed. "Look, Gu Qingshan, you're afraid. So there are times when you're afraid as well." It abruptly raised its spear to block in front of itself. Key. An intense sound of impact. The spear stopped the sword in Gu Qingshan's hand. At the same time, a sword-wielding woman appeared behind the soul shrieker and thrust her sword forward. 8. Chapter 1242. Shanu thrust her sword forward, only to see the soul shrieker's arms swinging backwards. Several gloomy clusters of light flew from its fists toward Shanu. The power of retribution. Whether it was speed or power, this chaos retribution wasn't something that Shanu could defend against. Shanu had no choice but to parry her sword and dodge the attack. The gloomy cluster of light flew past her, then broke through the void of space and disappeared without a trace. Gu Qingshan activated her hand seal. Billions of tiny noises of clashing resounded from the earth sword. Boom! The endless flames turned the sky into a sea of flames. As the soul shrieker was caught in the middle of it, all of its techniques were instantly stopped. That's all. I have all the great powers of the era of chaos. The soul shrieker roared and clasped its hands together to unleash another type of retribution. Gu Qingshan was already prepared for this, so she grabbed the Chao Yin sword and swung it forward from within the sea of flames. The deep blue fog of frost struck the soul shrieker's body like a tsunami. The soul shrieker was struck stiff. At this moment, within the boundless sea of flames, there was only intense ice and frost. Inside this sea of ice and fire, the soul shrieker slowly opened its mouth, but couldn't even utter an incantation. Its body gradually slowed down until it couldn't move at all. In that split second, Gu Qingshan put her swords away. An invisible sharp will manifested from his body and howled towards the soul shrieker. Azura divine skill, sun moon eclipse. Something invisible instantly flew away from the void of space. The soul shrieker's body was cut in half and fell down from the sky. Do you really want to kill me that badly? The soul shrieker smirked. Then the two halves of its body abruptly turned into strands of gray smoke that quickly fused back into one. Its body regained its corporeal form. Gu Qingshan glanced down at the ground. On the ground, in the middle of the intense battlefield, Anna was displaying her might. Every monster on the battlefield had given up on their opponents to attack her without a care for their own lives. The number of enemies she faced was simply too many. Although many people came to help, the pressure on Anna was getting bigger and bigger. The soul shrieker looked at Gu Qingshan with a mocking expression on its face. How rare. How rare. Gu Qingshan, so there's something you're afraid of. If I'd known earlier, I would have killed that woman. But it's not too late now. In the void, a dark mist condensed in its hand. Go. This is the will of chaos. Destroy that woman. The soul shrieker shouted. The divine punishment beam, which was dozens of meters thick, descended from the sky and blasted towards Anna. Gu Qingshan immediately lowered her body and rushed down. She used ground shrink a few times to flash across the sky and block the divine punishment. He drew the earth sword. The boundless sea of fire condensed into raging flames that wrapped around the body of the sword. Parting flame. This was the divine technique of the destructive fire sword technique. It used the destructive nature of the sea of fire to destroy all spells. Gu Qingshan had condensed all the flames on the sword in front of her, but she did not know how it would fare against the divine punishment. Gu Qingshan slashed with all her might. Fire and darkness. An intense clash. Boom! Gu Qingshan was sent flying. The gloomy light of the divine punishment was shattered, scattered into the void of space, then quickly returned to the sky. They returned to the soul shrieker's hand. The soul shrieker displayed a mocking smile as it raised the gray light in its hand. Gu Qingshan, since I've discovered your weakness, you shall. Gu Shan abruptly disappeared from the void of space and reappeared in front of the Soul Shrieker. Die! I've been waiting for you. The sword and the gray light clashed once again. The formless chi waves were as swift as birds, with the power to topple mountains and overturn seas, scattering in all directions. This was a battle between a human and a deity. Gu Shan wielded the other sword in her hand and was about to attack again. All of a sudden, a gigantic shadow descended from above and sent Gu Shan flying. Magic Dragon. The Soul Shrieker was shocked and quickly turned its thoughts. Why did it only return now? However, the timing of its attack was impeccable, taking advantage of the moment when Gu Shan wasn't on guard at all. Could have been hiding nearby? What a sly bastard. While the Soul Shrieker was thinking that, the black dragon's body turned around and opened its mouth to bite it. This was completely out of the Soul Shrieker's expectations. Why did the black dragon attack Gu Shan, then immediately attack me? Caught off guard, the Soul Shrieker was bitten by the black dragon. You've gone mad. The Soul Shrieker roared in both shock and anger. In the blink of an eye, the black dragon turned into an autumn water clear blue sword and vanished from the Soul Shrieker's sight. Gu Shan had replaced the sword and placed her hand on the Soul Shrieker's body. From the moment the magic dragon appeared and ambushed Gu Shan, to when Gu Shan was sent flying, to when the magic dragon turned around and attacked the Soul Shrieker, everything happened in the span of a single breath's worth of time. Even with the Soul Shrieker's reaction speed, it still couldn't understand what was going on. But Gu Shan had already acted. A faint pattern of a golden coin appeared on his body, flew along his arm, and entered the Soul Shrieker's body. Earth God's absolute prohibition. Absolute prohibition. Any target you strike will have all of their supernatural powers sealed away. Duration: 1 minute. This was one of the 3 Earth God powers, on the same level as True Luck and Shelter. It could only be used once every 30 days and was extremely precious. The Soul Shrieker instantly lost all of its powers. But it didn't panic at all and only muttered in surprise. What kind of technique is this? How could it completely seal away my divine power? Gu Shan didn't say anything and simply grabbed the Earth Sword. Intense sword phantoms drifted around the Earth Sword, instantly splitting into countless sword phantoms that left countless cuts on the Soul Shrieker's body. 1,000 slashes. When had the Soul Shrieker ever suffered such torture? It couldn't help but howl in agony. Keep one thing in mind, Gu Shan slowly said. I'm not afraid. I'm only becoming more and more eager to kill you. The sword abruptly slashed through the Soul Shrieker's neck. Earth's choice. The Soul Shrieker's body was directly sliced to pieces, then turned to dust and vanished from the sky. But its head suddenly laughed maniacally. Ah! Gu Shan, do you think I don't know how powerful the Earth Sword is? I have the power of the entire era of chaos, and it has prepared numerous causality laws techniques for my soul. You cannot kill me. It wasn't until after saying, so that its head completely shattered and disappeared. A second later, a sharp screeching sound began to resound from within the wall of gray fog that connected heaven and earth. A storm was brewing. Still not dead? Seems like the giant corpse wasn't wrong, Gu Shan muttered. In front of him, a figure slowly emerged from the gray fog. The Soul Shrieker. It slowly shook its head. Gu Shan, that attack just now was indeed impressive, but your woman is about to die. Gu Shan turned to the ground below. The mythical monsters of chaos were all charging towards Anna without any regard for their own safety. More and more enemies were gathering. Bali and Meow had returned to Anna's side to help her fight against the enemies. Everyone began to retreat towards Anna's direction. Both sides had realized the other strategy. On the battlefield, order and chaos revolved around Anna, initiating the final decisive battle. Gu Shan pulled his gaze back and looked at the Soul Shrieker. The giant corpse's words resounded in his mind. That would depend on what level of deity of chaos it is. If it is the deity who created the era of chaos, the entire era of chaos would aid it, as it possesses endless vitality and power, It cannot be defeated the entire era of chaos. Gu Shan stopped his thoughts, cleared his throat, and asked, "Are you in pain?" The Soul Shrieker was surprised and doubtfully asked, "What are you talking about?" Gu Shan replied, "When I cut you into pieces just now, were you in pain?" The Soul Shrieker's expression turned grim. It stared closely at Gu Shan and spoke with a hesitant expression. "No, that definitely wasn't the case. The ability you used just now was extraordinary. It wasn't an ability that could be easily performed. Of course, Earth Prohibition wasn't something that could be easily performed, but Gu Shan wouldn't say that. He simply chuckled, casually swung his sword, and asked, "Is that so? If you think that's the case, why don't you try again?" The Soul Shrieker's gaze followed his sword and remained silent for a long while. "Indeed, under the era of chaos, as protection, I am undying. But the boundless pain I felt just now was something that even I didn't want to experience a second time." Gu Shan continued, "Look, I know that chaos can save you, but I swear, as long as you continue to pursue my woman, I will make you feel the pain of being cut into pieces over and over again, for all eternity." The Soul Shrieker suddenly chuckled. Gu Shan, even if you can repeatedly perform that ability, you still won't be able to catch me. And it will all be for naught, because you aren't going against me, but rather the entire era of chaos. Its body retreated, merging into the gray wall of fog that connected heaven and earth, completely disappearing from Gu Shan's sight. Gu Shan looked at the fog and doubtfully asked, "How are you going to fight me like this?" "I don't need to fight you." Gu Shan, the Soul Shrieker's voice resounded from inside the fog. "The mythical creatures of the era of chaos have been preparing for a long time, while the order that you unleashed had only just awakened. So it's not enough. So I can crush you to death even with a human wave." Gu Shan froze. "And it's the true deity of chaos. Yet it's hiding and not fighting after being hit by an Earth deity's Earth Prohibition." The Soul Shrieker's voice abruptly became louder and resounded across heaven and earth. "Subjects of chaos, your only goal is to kill that young death god." More and more mythical creatures were emerging from the fog. They quickly ran forward, completely disregarding the attacks of everyone else as they charged towards Anna. The Soul Shrieker's declaration resounded from inside the fog. Gu Shan, the era of chaos has already conquered the 900 million world layers. Its power has already grown immeasurably. Today, I guarantee that your woman will die right in front of you. Gu Shan sighed. The giant corpse's words resounded in his mind. An order must be sacrificed in order to request an apotheotic combat from the era of chaos. Apotheotic combat. Indeed, the era of chaos requires the most powerful deity to help the entire era reach its peak. The era of chaos allows carriers of chaos to compete for the deific authority, and it will choose the final victor from among them. Remember, only by stripping away the other party's deific authority can you. Gu Shan suddenly raised his hand. He seemed to be holding something in his hand, but no one could clearly see what it was. Gu Shan looked at the gray wall of fog that connected heaven and earth, then abruptly shouted, "I, Gu Shan, hereby use the Demon King order as the price to request an apotheotic combat. I want to challenge the Soul Shrieker's deific authority of chaos." The world became silent. The churning wall of gray fog suddenly froze. Chapter 1243. As soon as Gu Shan said that, the entire world went silent. The drifting gray fog abruptly froze. Gu Shan felt his hand loosening. The Demon King order had completely vanished from his hand. The era of chaos had taken away the price he had to pay in such an understated manner. Following that, lines of glowing text quickly appeared in front of Gu Shan's eyes. "Attention, you've offered up an order. Because of your actions, you've received the recognition of chaos. You've once again become a carrier of chaos." Immediately, another line of similar gray text appeared next to the glowing text. At some unknown point, chaos had taken over his body. Two lines of text appear at the same time. Frowny face. Based on the many things you've accomplished, Chaos has made a preliminary evaluation of you. You've obtained the following titles from the Chaos faction: Dragon Slayer, Guardian of Secrets, Master of the Parallel World Key, Wielder of the Samsara Weapon, Mocker of Order, Protector of Chaos, Guide of the Occultism World, Soul Eater Ghost. You've done too many things, single-handedly affecting the rise and fall of countless worlds. And the order you've offered up will make the era of chaos even stronger. As you've erased trillions of souls, your cruelty has granted you the special favor of chaos. Because of this, the era of chaos granted you the right to spread chaos. You will become an important force for the destruction of the world. You've obtained the title of World Destroyer. You've obtained the Chaos Dragon King Scepter. You've obtained the Chaos Dragon King Scepter. You shall use your title and this scepter too. Summon the dragons who have submitted to chaos to fight for you. Attention, this is a considerably powerful chaos authority. You may now initiate the apotheotic combat. If you wish to compete against the Soul Shrieker for the deific authority of chaos, you must stake your title as the Chaos Dragon King. Once you stake this title, the Soul Shrieker must stake its title as well. The apotheotic combat between you and it shall officially begin. Gu Shan looked at the wall of gray fog that connected heaven and earth and loudly declared, "I stake my title to challenge the Soul Shrieker's deific authority." His voice fell. The wall of gray fog shook violently, emitting a deafening buzzing sound. The chaotic monsters that had just walked out of the gray fog and were about to charge at Anna all slowed down. They slowly stopped and turned back into the gray mist. Right now, on the battlefield, everyone was surrounding Anna, protecting her in the middle as they fought against the carriers of chaos and monsters with all their might. The monsters and carriers of chaos slowly stopped and cautiously retreated back into the gray fog. All the monsters growled and slowly walked into the fog. Everyone didn't know what was going on and didn't know whether they should chase after him or not. Pull back and defend. Everyone, don't make any moves. Boss roared. At this time, he had already changed into a set of golden armor, and his body was rather dignified. The long saber on his back had also turned into an extremely terrifying long and thick iron rod, emitting a faint dark red flame. A military rank was embedded in the armor. After the short time it took for half an incense stick to burn, he had actually risen from a small soldier to the rank of a centurion. Everyone turned to him. Everyone was also carrying the human army, so they naturally understood just how terrifyingly powerful it was to be able to rise to this rank in just half an incense stick's worth of time. Almost no one dared to do anything else. Bali walked up and asked in a low voice, "What's the matter?" Boss solemnly replied, "The chaos apotheotic combat is about to begin. At this time, the era of chaos will fully awaken. Do not provoke it." No matter what, Meow landed next to the two of them and asked, "What will happen if chaos is provoked?" Boss seemed to have thought of something and abruptly placed both hands on the book of prophesied destinies, shouting, "With my divine might, protect." A bright circle of light radiated from the book of prophesied destinies, forming a semi-transparent barrier that covered everyone around it. Do not leave the barrier. Do not make any moves to attack. Stay where you are. Boss shouted at everyone. Lady Darksea's voice resounded in the ears of every single one of the carriers. Everyone, please enter the highest state of alert. For the sake of your lives, please stay where you are. Do not attack. Perhaps there were still some who didn't recognize Boss, but with his barrier just now, as well as Lady Blacksea's warning, no one tried to attack again. Boss sighed tiredly, then told Meow, "The era of chaos had already descended for a while now. It has accumulated enough power to not only initiate the official apotheotic combat, but also do everything else, so it's best not to provoke it at this point in time." Anna walked up and asked, "What do you mean by everything else?" Boss closed the book of prophesied destinies and replied, "Don't ask any further. The book of prophesied destinies can only reveal so much. I can't say too much either. Otherwise, fate will curse us," saying so, he looked up at the sky. Everyone followed his gaze and looked at the person in the sky. Gu Shan. He stood in the sky, raised the Demon King order in his hand, and silently waited. All of a sudden, in front of him, the gray wall of fog parted. The Soul Shrieker's voice resounded. It was I who carried the will of chaos and defeated the order of the 900 million world layers. It was I who spread chaos across countless worlds, turning living beings into believers of chaos. It slowly stepped forward, its tone filled with extreme anger. I am the envoy of chaos, the one who helped the era of chaos descend upon all worlds within the space vortex. The Soul Shrieker pointed at Gu Shan and questioned. You, Gu Shan, you're a servant of order, an enemy of chaos. What qualifications do you have to fight against me in the apotheotic combat? Gu Shan smiled and replied, You've done so much, but you still haven't sacrificed order to chaos. But I've done it. Not to mention, I've already staked the title of ruler of the dragons of chaos. A massive gray fog appeared out of nowhere between the two of them. Above the fog, a gray dragon-shaped scepter silently hovered. The scepter of the Chaos Dragon King. The Dragon King's scepter. As the Soul Shrieker stared closely at the scepter, it suddenly laughed. Gu Shan, you know nothing about chaos. You're done for it. Casually toss something out. That item slowly hovered above the gray fog and revealed itself. It was a ring. Gray lines of text appeared in front of Gu Shan's eyes. The ring of the true deity of chaos. Those who wield this item shall become the true deity of chaos, shouldering the heavy responsibility of destroying all order, as well as the right to eternal life. The power of chaos shall turn into divine retribution for your use. Attention! You must obtain the rights to this ring for the will of chaos, to tell you how to use it. The Soul Shrieker abruptly turned around and spoke to the wall of gray fog. According to the rules, I require 2 servants. I am willing to grant them the same qualifications to fight for the deity's authority, in exchange for them to come to my side and aid me in battle. Come, the raging flame treader who slumbered in the age of immemorial, and the god of life from the inner plane, traverse the infinite space-time to appear in front of me and fight by my side. The gray fog began to churn. A flaming corpse wrapped in chains appeared next to the Soul Shrieker. Following that, the god of life also appeared. It looked around in shock, muttering, I was clearly fighting against the eternal abyss, yet I was summoned here through space-time. The Soul Shrieker didn't bother to talk to it and raised its head to the sky to laugh maniacally. Only carriers of chaos can participate in the deity's authority. It laughed out loud. Gu Shan, all of your people carry order, so they are now considered enemies by the era of chaos. So you won't be able to find a single helper. You're definitely going to lose this time. Gu Shan muttered, so I can even bring helpers. He then looked down and waved at the people below. Zhang Young-ho, Yi Fei Li, Zhang Young-ho and Yi Fei Li exchanged glances. Yi Fei Li flew up and stood behind Gu Shan. Zhang Young-ho received the 7-colored shield from her and flew up. Gu Shan said without turning around, My apologies. Only you can help me this time. After this is over, I'll treat you to a feast. Yi Fei Li looked at the 3 monsters in front of her and trembled. You're scared? Zhang Young-ho asked in surprise. Yi Fei Li shouldn't be this scared. You don't understand. Yi Fei Li excitedly licked her lips and said, This is killing monsters above my level. It's quite challenging, not to mention, 3-on-3 is the most fun. I like this kind of battle. I've always won. Zhang Young-ho shook his head and pondered. He tossed the 7-colored shield to Gu Shan, then took out a light sniper rifle and hung it on his back, muttering, That's true. It's been a long time since I've killed a beast several dozen times stronger than me. The gray fog surged forward and completely engulfed the people in the sky. A few moments later, the gray fog scattered. They had disappeared from the world of the spire. Chapter 1244. The fog dissipated. The scenery around them changed. In the middle of the vast ocean, there was an uninhabited island with a radius of several dozen miles. Gu Shan, Zhang Young-ho, and Yi Fei Li suddenly appeared on the island. It was now dawn, the time when the sea breeze was cool and refreshing. The three of them stood on the beach, looking up at the clear blue sky. The scenery here isn't bad. It's a good place for a vacation, Zhang Young-ho commented. Weren't we participating in the apotheotic combat? Why do we suddenly appear here? What are we going to do now? Yi Fei Li excitedly asked. Look, Gu Shan pointed at the sandy beach in front of the three of them. Lines of text slowly appeared on the sandy beach. Frowny face, both sides of the apotheotic combat have entered the sea of deep mystery. For the sake of fairness, both you and your opponent will have half an hour to rest and adjust. Now is the time to rest and adjust. The countdown has begun. After your rest and adjustment, you will receive the first piece of information. Attention, do not enter the ocean without permission. Reminder, every hour, at least one type of apocalypse will descend upon this world. After the text was displayed, it slowly faded away from the sandy beach. The three of them exchanged glances. Half an hour of rest. That's quite humane, Yi Fei Li commented. Zhang Young-ho sighed in relief, put the sniper rifle back on his back, and said, And here I thought they would immediately start killing each other, but since there's some leeway, we'll have a better chance. Gu Shan agreed. Both order and chaos have their own ways of doing things. I assume that it won't be a simple fight. If that's the case, we can simply find the Soul Shrieker to fight. There's no need to waste our time. The three of them relaxed a bit and observed their surroundings. This island wasn't too big. Other than a few trees, there weren't any other living beings on it. The seawater seemed to contain some sort of unique power that was both eerie and powerful. Just like the reminder said, it was best not to enter the ocean without permission. The three of them sat down on the sandy beach. There's at least one apocalypse every hour. Seems like it's a survival game, Yi Fei Li commented. Gu Shan thought for a bit, then seriously replied, How should I say this? In truth, chaos is the same as order. Both of them exist to fight against the apocalypse, although its attitude towards living beings is a bit more cruel. If that's the case, it's not as simple as escaping, Zhang Young-ho said. That's right. It shouldn't be just a test to escape. At the very least, there should be a test to resist the apocalypse. Gu Shan told him about how she collected the remnant world will and helped the world will fight against chaos. Zhang Young-ho and Yi Fei Li fell into contemplation, while Gu Shan also began to ponder about this apotheotic combat. Only the sound of the waves could be heard on the beach. Suddenly, there was a slight noise. Gu Shan and Zhang Young-ho looked at Yi Fei Li. Yi Fei Li rubbed her stomach and embarrassedly said, I'm hungry. Even a world destroyer can get hungry? Zhang Young-ho was surprised. What a joke. I've always needed a lot of energy to convert it into energy drinks with my soul power. How about we eat something first? That way we'll be more spirited when we fight later. Yi Fei Li suggested. Zhang Young-ho was surprised. This is the apotheotic combat we're talking about. Shouldn't we have a good meal first? I feel like that's a bit ominous. Very well, it's time to rest and recuperate. I don't mind eating something first. Saying so, Zhang Young-ho took out a bottle of liquor from his personal storage space. I've always only brought liquor. If you want to eat, you'll have to find Gu Shan. He took out 3 glasses and began to pour them. Gu Shan was a bit surprised. This is the apotheotic combat. Such a crucial moment. Why don't we eat something good? No problem. Saying so, he reached his hand into his waist. Suddenly, he realized. I'm sorry, Gu Shan shrugged. Everything in my inventory bag is gone. Was it stolen? Zhang Young-ho asked. No, Gu Shan recalled what happened to the giant corpse and said, It was for a special purpose. Everything was sacrificed, so we don't have anything to eat. Zhang Young-ho appeared a bit disappointed. Yi Fei Li suddenly took out a pot, as well as a few other spices. You're not Gu Shan. Why would you bring these things? Zhang Young-ho asked. Yi Fei Li scratched his head and replied, About that. My wife asked me to learn how to cook, so I prepared everything. Gu Shan received the pot, observed it for a bit, then commented, This pot is very new. I haven't used it yet. Yi Fei Li shrugged. The two of them looked at him. Without her by my side, I wouldn't have the motivation to cook. Yi Fei Li explained himself. Gu Qingshan replied, All right, I prepared everything. Go get some ingredients. I'll cook. Yi Fei Li searched around for a bit, only to find a few boxes of instant noodles. Don't tell me you only have this? Gu Qingshan asked. This is the taste of home, Yi Fei Li weakly explained. Zhang Young-ho shook his head, then showed the label on the bottle to them. See this? This is the best liquor I've ever kept, specially prepared for a grand occasion like the apotheotic combat. So, Yi Fei Li asked. Zhang Young-ho answered seriously. You're asking me to eat instant noodles before the apotheotic combat. Such a shameful thing. I'll definitely refuse. Gu Qingshan also shook her head. Eating instant noodles alone won't do us any good. We need some good meat to boost our condition. All of a sudden, the sound of birds chirping came from the sky. The three of them looked up, only to see a flock of seabirds flying in the sky. Their posture was elegant, their cries loud and clear. Good birds, Gu Qingshan praised. They are indeed good birds, Yi Fei Li nodded. Perfect timing, Zhang Young-ho also commented. A few minutes later, the three of them drank top-quality liquor from goblets while eating instant noodles. In front of them, a large pot of fragrant meat was being stewed, while the plates were filled with freshly fried meat. How exactly did you make these dishes? Yi Fei Li asked. Gu Qingshan answered. Due to the limited space, I stewed the big ones, fried the small ones, dipped them in salt and cumin, then you can eat them to the apotheotic combat. He raised his glass. The three of them clinked glasses and drank it all at once. Speaking of which, if we're fighting against the apocalypse, I don't think there's anything to be afraid of. After all, we've all gone through the man-killer fiends and the game of eternal, Zhang Young-ho commented. He filled Yi Fei Li's glass again. Yi Fei Li agreed. Although I've mutated, at least I managed to survive the apocalypse, and I'm living quite well right now. The two of them clinked glasses and drank. Gu Qingshan recalled the giant corpse's words and smiled bitterly. According to the giant corpse, the apocalypse in the reality gate wasn't really an apocalypse at all. Apocalypse? He suddenly recalled the Fairy of Time's words. About the man-killer fiends. That was the apocalypse of a parallel world. Originally, it swept through the entire space of that parallel world. Not only were there man-killer fiends and man-eater fiends, there were also over 1,000 other mutated forms, some of which couldn't be resisted at all and directly destroyed billions of worlds. Although this apocalypse managed to reach our world, it had already used up all of its power, leaving only the man-killer fiends and man-eater fiends. Regarding the game of Eternal, the Fairy of Time continued. That was also a weakened version of the apocalypse. Originally, it forced all living beings to participate. Gu Qingshan poured herself another glass of wine and drank it all at once. I'll tell you the truth, don't underestimate the apocalypse. In truth, the true apocalypse is far more terrifying than we know, Gu Qingshan said. Zhang Young-ho was intrigued. What exactly is the true apocalypse like? Gu Qingshan shook her head and spoke with a cautious tone. I haven't seen it with my own eyes, but I hope that what we'll be facing this time won't be the true apocalypse. Zhang Young-ho and Yi Fei Li exchanged glances and immediately corrected their attitudes. If there's a problem that even Gu Qingshan finds troublesome, then it's truly troublesome. They have to be as vigilant as possible and carefully deal with it. Half an hour later, the three of them had eaten their fill. Their spirits were high, ready to go. It's here, Zhang Young-ho pointed at the beach. Lines of small words appeared on the beach on Time's frowny face. This is the sea of deep mystery, a legendary ocean full of secrets. On this ocean, only living beings are allowed to use a type of boat called the crossing fish to pass through. If you use any other method to cross the ocean, you will immediately be killed by one or more forces within the ocean. And now, you've obtained a damaged crossing fish boat. You may use the trees on the island to repair it, then use it to quickly escape from the island. Attention! In half an hour, an apocalypse will descend on the island. Attention! This boat, called the Crossing Fish, can only accommodate 2 living beings. After the text was displayed, it slowly disappeared. Not too far away from the three of them, a broken boat suddenly appeared. Come, Miao Shu Wu. Chapter 1245. The Other Side of the Sea. There was also an island here. Whether it was the size of the island, the sand and rocks on it, or even the species of the trees, it was no different from the small island where Gu Qing Shan and the others were. There were no living creatures inhabiting such a barren island. Seabirds only occasionally passed by here. At this moment, the other three outsiders were standing on the beach of the island. The Soul Shrieker with both male and female faces. The god of life was covered in black tentacles. There was also the flaming corpse wrapped in chains, Flaming Walker. They all stared at the wooden boat in front of them. According to Chaos, this crossing fish can only seat 2 people, the god of life replied. The Soul Shrieker observed it for a while, then turned to the raging flame traveler. Is there no other way? It asked its 2 attendants. Without saying a word, the god of life's several hundred tentacles turned into blurred images and flew towards the center of the island. One by one, the trees were chopped down and quickly assembled into a raft. Come, the god of life said softly. The wooden raft flew over and landed on the surface of the sea. Pa! A torrent of water surged up from the sea, directly smashing the raft apart. Looks like this won't do. The flame traveler pondered. Since this ship can only accommodate 2 living beings, I think I have an idea. What is it? The flame walker replied. I'm a corpse of flame, so I can enter a state of death. That makes sense. Then you wouldn't be considered a living being, the Soul Shrieker replied with its male voice. The flame walker walked up and sat inside the ship. Suddenly, the flames on its body extinguished, and it fell straight into the wooden boat. All right, let's go, the Soul Shrieker said. She and the god of life lightly leapt onto the ship. The wooden boat did not move. A few lines of words appeared on the deck. This ship only allows 2 living beings to board. Corpses are not allowed to board this ship. Also, you haven't repaired this ship. Only when these conditions are met will the crossing fish move. Repairing the boat was only a small matter, so the Soul Shrieker didn't care about it all. It randomly picked a few pieces of wood, cut them from afar, and replaced the broken planks of the boat. Those lines of words immediately disappeared, leaving only the first line. This ship only allows 2 living beings to board. Corpses are not allowed to board this ship. The ship remained motionless. The Soul Shrieker muttered. So the so-called only for 2 living beings means that only 2 living beings can ride this ship. No other entities are allowed to board it. I have a few methods to control the water element. How about I push the boat instead? Saying so, the god of life was about to act. No. The Soul Shrieker hurriedly stopped him and spoke in a low voice. The seawater is filled with a strange power. We must not touch it, the god of life replied. Think again. There might be another way. The 3 deities of chaos returned to the island. The raging flame traveler tried to fly, but not long after it flew out of the range of the island, it was fiercely blasted back by an invisible force, and it even suffered minor injuries. The god of life tried to turn into a card. She had studied Lady Blacksea's card before, so she had some understanding and abilities regarding this. However, it was still not enough. The ship didn't move at all. Another sentence was displayed on the deck. This ship only allows 2 creatures to board. You are not allowed to board this ship after transforming. Time passed quietly. There were 10 minutes left. In 10 minutes, an apocalypse would descend upon the island. The Soul Shrieker slowly became irritated. Its female voice began to speak. It seems only one of you can board this ship with me now. Prove to me which one of you is stronger. I will have the stronger servant come with me, the god of life. And the raging flame traveler exchanged glances. When chaos summoned them, they had both heard the Soul Shrieker's vow. I need 2 servants. I am willing to grant them the same qualifications to compete for the deific authority. My opponents are only 3 mortals. Or rather, one of them is quite powerful, but the other 2 are only SOSO. This is an apotheotic combat with a high chance of winning. If something happens to the Soul Shrieker at the very last moment, the true deity ring of chaos, the scepter of the chaos, Dragon King, the authority of a true deity. I have a chance to obtain all 3 of these items at once. If I stay on this island, I won't be able to obtain anything and would instead face the threat of the apocalypse. The god of life suddenly spoke. Stand down, raging flame traveler. You might be strong, but you are far from being my match, the raging flame traveler fiercely replied. Cut the nonsense. Ever since the age of immemorial, I've been almost invincible. Who the hell do you think you are? The god of life froze. She stared straight at the other party and spoke in a low voice. Invincible? A piece of trash that not even the inner plane dares to provoke, dares to claim to be invincible. The two deities abruptly disappeared. Boom! They crashed into each other. An invisible shockwave rose to the sky, blowing away all the clouds in the sky. Under the impact of the raging flame traveler and the god of life, the entire island collapsed and slowly sank into the ocean. The Soul Shrieker had no choice but to jump onto the crossing fish. No need to fight. I know the difference in strength between the two of you, it loudly declared. The raging flame traveler and the god of life both appeared. They barely managed to stand on top of a few rocks that hadn't completely sunk yet, both looking at the Soul Shrieker. God of life, your strength is undeniable, but you have a single problem. The Soul Shrieker stood on the ship and spoke with a condescending tone. You're too afraid of death, even during a crucial moment like the apotheotic combat. As soon as you sense that something is amiss and your life is in danger, the first thing you would do would be to survive, not to kill your enemy. That is why you should stay. The god of life froze. The raging flame traveler looked up to the sky and laughed, then lightly leapt onto the ship. It turned around, looked at the god of life with a mocking gaze, and spoke. Farewell, cowardly deity. I heard that a true deity managed to escape before the inner plane was destroyed, hiding in a secret location within the void of space, eating his own descendants to survive for countless years. That spineless piece of trash. Is that you? Hearing that, the god of life's presence abruptly fluctuated. She was thoroughly enraged and screamed in a frenzy. Damn it! You're nothing but a corpse. How dare you speak to me like that? Thousands of black tentacles reached out from her back, ready to attack the raging flame traveler without any regard for the consequences. Stop! The Soul Shrieker shouted. The god of life was surprised and turned to the Soul Shrieker. This corpse just insulted me. She pointed at the raging flame traveler and said. The Soul Shrieker impatiently replied, I don't care what kind of problem you have with him. He is now my servant, and he will follow me to face the next trial, whether you attack him or destroy this ship during your battle. I want you dead. Hearing that, the god of life couldn't help but take a step back. Indeed, the Soul Shrieker currently needed the raging flame traveler's help. They were both on the same ship. Without a doubt, as long as I dared to attack, the Soul Shrieker and the raging flame traveler would immediately act together to kill me. The god of life's presence rose a few times, but slowly calmed down. She didn't dare to attack again. Compared to venting her anger, her own life was naturally more important. The raging flame traveler and I were originally about the same level, only a bit stronger. The Soul Shrieker's strength was growing every day. The era of chaos was constantly increasing its strength. If these two entities worked together, I would only be able to die. The god of life stood still without moving. She watched as the small ship slowly sped up and left the island's range, but still didn't dare to attack. The Soul Shrieker turned around to look at the god of life one last time and said, You shall remain here. As long as you can endure the descent of the apocalypse, you will be transported back by chaos. After all, you're the best at survival. The raging flame traveler followed up. Indeed, this arrangement suits you perfectly. The small ship slowly went further away. It wasn't until the small ship had completely disappeared that the god of life loudly roared, Bastard, Soul Shrieker, you will definitely fail. Without me, chaos will surely abandon you. The raging flame traveler will take everything from you. From now on, I will no longer listen to your orders. I am loyal only to chaos. After cursing for a bit, the god of life abruptly stopped. Her expression was one of fear. It was time. In the sky, something was slowly approaching. An endless sense of death was spreading. An apocalypse was about to descend. Chapter 1246. Two Islands. The rest time was over. The Soul Shriekers group stood in front of the damaged crossing fish and began to think of a solution. At the same time, Gu Qingshan's group was also thinking of a solution. I seem to recall that you can turn into other creatures, Zhang Yongho asked. When he turned around, Gu Qingshan was already nowhere to be seen. A bird flew into the sky, circled around the island once, then returned to the ground and turned back into Gu Qingshan. We can't. The void of space around us is being sealed by an invisible force. If we try to fly out, we'll be heavily injured, and if we don't give up, we'll most likely be erased, Gu Qingshan said. He then used the astral projection technique and had Zhang Yongho place his body on the wooden boat, attempting to get the three of them to board the boat together. He received the same result as the Soul Shrieker. Yi Fei Li couldn't help but shake her head. Could it be like the system notification said, we can only use this crossing fish to leave? Gu Qingshan sighed and asked, do you have any other ideas? Zhang Yongho drew a card and said, let me try. He tossed the card out. The card turned into smoke. A blue lobster about half the size of a person appeared in front of the three of them. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Little Ing Hao, give me a bottle of beer. I'm going to die without alcohol. The blue lobster shouted. Zhang Yongho took out a bottle of beer and gave it to him. The blue lobster skillfully opened the lid with his pincers and gulped it down in one gulp. Burp, he burped and said in a satisfied tone. Sure enough, beer is still the best. All right, what did you need me for? Zhang Yongho pointed at the ocean and said, take a look at this ocean. Can you carry me across? The blue lobster stared at the ocean with a solemn expression. This ocean doesn't seem to be as simple as it seems. Let me take a look at the power it contains. The lobster nimbly crawled to the shore and used his pincers to probe the water. Crack! A crisp sound was heard. Ouch, 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 ouch. The blue lobster screamed. It held its big pincer and limped back. What's going on? Zhang Yongho asked in a deep voice. The blue lobster raised its giant pincer. The ocean is filled with a strange power. Even my pincer couldn't handle it and cracked open, so it suddenly stopped. The three people in front of them were all staring at the snow-white flesh exposed from its pincers, silently swallowing their saliva. This lobster had just drunk beer. If this was handled properly, it would have a different flavor. The three of them thought to themselves, humph. In any case, living things can't enter the sea. The blue lobster seemed to have sensed some kind of danger. After saying this, it turned into a cloud of smoke and disappeared from the three's sight. It left, Yi Fei Li said regretfully. Gu Qingshan looked into the void and asked, is the ocean really that dangerous? The Chaoyin sword let out a clear cry. All right, seems like going underwater isn't going to work. Gu Qingshan appeared contemplative. Zhang Yongho suddenly recalled something and asked Gu Qingshan, right? Can't you completely disappear? Just like when you silently appeared in the world of the spire before, Gu Qingshan sighed. That ability can only be used at night, and I'm not sure if it'll actually work or not. The Orange Sovereign's Ghostly Shadow of Night could only be used after nightfall. The three of them didn't know what to do. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, there were only 10 minutes left. The apocalypse was coming. Yi Fei Li suddenly walked forward and stood in front of the ship. He crouched down without moving and appeared to be listening. Gu Qingshan and Zhang Yongho both went silent and didn't say anything else. Yi Fei Li had an ability that allowed him to listen to all things. He stood there listening for a while, then returned. The ship is angry. It's angry? Why? Zhang Yongho couldn't help but ask. It thinks that we don't care about it or fix it, Yi Fei Li replied. Fix it? Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised, then recalled that there was indeed a line in the notification frowny face. You can use the trees on the island to fix the crossing fish, then use it to quickly escape from the island. A thought suddenly flashed through Gu Qingshan's mind. Ing Hao, Yi Fei Li, although I have other solutions, this is the apotheotic combat. Chaos is currently testing us, so those solutions might not be suitable. Then what do we do? Do you have a new idea? Yi Fei Li asked. There's no time. Chaos told us to fix the ship, so we have to follow its rules. That's the safest way then. Fix it. With a single thought, Gu Shan sent out strands of sword chi to cut down all the trees on the island. He then used a telekinesis hand seal to transport all the trees to the side of the ship. Hao, you're a gun user, so you should be familiar with various structures. Go take down the damaged wooden planks on the ship and give me their measurements, Gu Shan told him. No problem. Zhang Yongho leapt onto the small wooden ship and began to dismantle the damaged wooden planks. Gu Shan then told him, Yifei Li later used the sizing Hao gave you to make a similar piece of wood. Give it to Hao and have him assemble it. With the three of us working together, it should be quick. Got it, Yifei Li replied. Zhang Yongho tossed down a damaged wooden plank and said, The first plank of the ship's side, 4 meters long, 2 meters wide. Yifei Li then waved his hand to release a blood-red thread to cut out an identical plank from the wooden plank on the ground. He tossed the new plank to Zhang Yongho, who quickly installed it. Gu Shan took over the damaged plank and stood on one side. He silently waited until all the damaged parts had been replaced. Good. The repairs are done. What do we do next? Zhang Yongho asked. Continue to dismantle it, Gu Shan said. Continue to dismantle it. Zhang Yongho repeated himself. Yes, dismantle it all. All right. Although Zhang Yongho didn't quite understand, he still continued to dismantle it. The wooden ship was slowly being dismantled into its various components. Yifei Li continued to make new parts according to the measurements Zhang Yongho gave him so that he could easily replace the old parts with new ones. As for the other parts, they were all replaced. Zhang Yongho was an expert in the construction of parts, while Gu Shan was a mech designer. The two of them randomly took a few metal parts from Zhang Yongho and used fire to forge them into new parts, trying to make them exactly the same as the parts on the wooden ship. After all the parts were made, Zhang Yongho immediately began to put the new parts on the wooden ship. Gu Shan then took over the old parts of the wooden ship and began to reassemble the old ship. The three of them cooperated skillfully and moved quickly. In just a short while, they had replaced every single component on the wooden boat. A brand new crossing fish appeared in front of them. At the same time, Gu Shan had also reassembled the old ship. 2 ships, one old, one new. Both were crossing fish. You know, if we're discussing this from a philosophical point of view, we can talk for a bit longer. Zhang Yongho looked at the 2 ships and shrugged. Gu Shan replied, but from a practical point of view, they both have the same function. He received a few new wooden planks from Yifei Li and replaced the damaged ones. At this point, there was only 1 minute left. Gu Shan reached his hand out to touch both ships. A line of glowing text appeared on the war god UI, frowny face, a brand new crossing fish. This is a unique type of ship that can sail on the sea of deep mystery, an old crossing fish. This is a unique type of ship that can sail on the sea of deep mystery. Gu Shan slightly nodded. Let's go. The 2 ships, one in front and one behind, headed into the vast ocean. The wooden ship seemed to be guided by some sort of force as it followed the ocean current toward a fixed direction. At this point, lines of gray text appeared on the chaos UI in front of their eyes at the same time. Mortals on the apotheotic combat path, you must understand that the mission of chaos is extremely arduous, not something that can be accomplished with a certain level of strength, because in the depths of chaos, your strength simply isn't enough. Let us now begin our evaluation of you. At the beginning of the apotheotic combat, you did not simply compete in strength, nor did you go against the rules set by chaos. Instead, you followed the vague hints and successfully allowed the 3 of you to leave the Isle of Apocalypse. Remember, thinking is an important part of strength. Only divinities who understand how to be flexible are qualified to accept the mission of chaos and seek out the true secrets of the era of chaos. Otherwise, even if you become the true deity of chaos, you will only die in the endless passage of time. Evaluation, excellent. From now on, the speed of your crossing fish will be increased by 30%. You will reach your destination earlier than your opponents. Reading through the notifications, the 3 of them fell into thought. There was too much information in this message. Suddenly, Yifei Li said, Look. The 3 of them stood on the ship and looked towards the island. It's time. The apocalypse is about to descend upon that island. M. Chapter 1247. The surface of the ocean was completely calm. Gu Qin-shan, Zhang Young-ho, and Yi Fei-li stood on the boat for a long time. Nothing happened. Everything was normal on the lone island. Hey, what happened to the apocalypse we were talking about? Zhang Young-ho opened his arms and called out to the lone island. Nothing happened on the lone island. Gu Qin-shan thought for a bit, then manifested a thin piece of ice crystal from the void of space and flicked it with her finger. The ice crystal flew away in an instant, landing on the beach of the lone island. It hit a rock that wasn't too big. Ting! Tiny cracks began to appear on the ice crystal. The ice crystal shattered. At the same time, the sound of something being crushed resounded from the lone island. Crack, 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 crack. The entire island abruptly shattered. It didn't shatter into countless pieces like it did on impact. Instead, it completely disappeared in the blink of an eye. This disappearance happened so abruptly and quickly that a large whirlpool appeared on the surface of the ocean where the lone island disappeared. Water flowed into the whirlpool, filling up the empty space left behind by the disappearance of the lone island. The sound of water rippling could be heard from afar. The two crossing fish were pulled back by the flowing water, unable to move forward even after a while. It wasn't until the surface of the ocean returned to normal that the wooden boats started to move forward again. I've never seen such an apocalypse before, Zhang Young-ho spoke with a serious tone. Indeed, it was probably triggered by either impact or sound. The two objects that collided with each other were directly destroyed, then spread outwards, turning everything into dust. Yi Fei-li spoke with a troubled expression. He couldn't think of a way to dispel this apocalypse. Gu Qin-shan closed her eyes, sensing the shock waves from the void of space, and muttered, "This power is very powerful, capable of destroying an entire world in the blink of an eye. It's fortunate that it's confined to this lone island. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. With your current strength, can you stop this apocalypse?" Zhang Young-ho asked. Gu Qin-shan had fully fused the power of 3 dragons. So he mused, if I use my full strength, I can probably stop one of these attacks. But if it's used consecutively, I won't be able to. He abruptly stopped. Zhang Young-ho and Yi Fei-li did not pursue the matter. The three of them looked in the direction of the lone island. An ethereal voice could be heard from the surface of the ocean. A blurry shadow stood motionlessly at the island's original position. It's singing. At the sound of its song, the sea receded around. The lone island reappeared. However, the island that appeared this time was alive. It was like some kind of creature in disguise. After appearing from the void, it quietly crawled on the surface of the sea and stopped moving. No matter how one looked at it, it was an isolated island, exactly the same as the isolated island from before. The black shadow ignored the island and looked straight in the direction of Gu Qin-shan and the others. It flew in the direction of the wooden boat. Ha! A thick layer of transparent barrier blocked it. It was the barrier of the isolated island from before. Gu Qin-shan once transformed into a bird and tried to fly out. Raging Flame Walker also tried to do the same, but he was directly blasted back. The Black Shadow tried for a long time and found that he couldn't get out, so he landed on the isolated island. It continued to sing in a distant and gloomy voice. At this point, Gu Qin-shan's group's boat was finally getting further away from the isolated island. The boat finally went far away. On the boat, none of the three of them said anything. Zhang Young-ho wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and said, "That thing just now was too terrifying. Just looking at it made me feel like I was going to die." Same, Gu Qin-shan calmly replied. He casually formed a hand seal to blow the layer of cold sweat off his body. Yi Fei-li suddenly asked, "What exactly was that?" "Who knows? But do you remember the game of Eternal? I'm guessing it's the same kind of entity as the host of the game of Eternal. Then the apocalypse is being hosted by some kind of entity?" Yi Fei-li asked. Gu Qin-shan replied, "I'm not sure, but I'm guessing that being able to observe an apocalypse at such a close distance is also one of the rewards Chaos gave us." Zhang Young-ho, "You mean That's right, under normal circumstances, who will be able to see the true face of an apocalypse? Including the game of Eternal, it's actually been weakened countless times over, so we haven't even seen what kind of entity is behind it, Gu Shan said. Zhang Youngho shrugged. That's why we still don't know what kind of entity it is, Gu Shan said. Let's wait, I'm guessing that the path chaos prepared for us is going to be a tough one. Perhaps we'll be able to find out some secrets later on. Zhang Youngho clapped his hands and said, do you still remember the notification at the start? At least one apocalypse will appear every hour, which means we'll probably run into a lot more apocalypses later on suddenly. Yifei Li chimed in, if this kind of power descends on our world, the three of them fell silent. A few moments later, lines of gray text appeared in front of their eyes, at the same time frowny face beyond the boundless void. No calamity or apocalypse would be able to enter the reality gate, but a few scattered apocalypses would occasionally be able to enter the void of our world. The apocalypses that were killed had already disappeared. The apocalypses that couldn't be killed were imprisoned in a hidden space, while the apocalypses that couldn't be stopped are still committing atrocities. What you're seeing now is a type of apocalypse. It is the prisoner of chaos. Yifei Li opened her mouth wide in confusion. Even apocalypses can be imprisoned? Zhang Youngho thought even more deeply and muttered, if chaos is so powerful, how did it disappear for so many years until the Soul Shrieker began to spread chaos? This doesn't make sense. Prisoner. Gu Shan kept repeating this word. He felt like he'd heard the word prisoner somewhere before. I think Lin once mentioned it. But Lin also didn't know the secret of the prisoner. At another location, the god of life stood on the island, fully on guard. It had been a few minutes since the apocalypse descended, but nothing happened at all. She waited and waited until it was almost nightfall before she finally sighed in relief. It seems this is some sort of virus-type apocalypse that targets mortals, or an apocalypse that requires the presence of many people to trigger. A deity like myself shouldn't be affected. That's true. The apotheotic combat had only just begun, so it wouldn't release too many apocalypses at once, nor would it release an apocalypse that's too powerful to test us. She took one step. This step was the turning point. The entire island was suddenly filled with the sound of shattering. Crack, 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 crack. Oh no. The god of life's expression changed. It released all of its black tentacles and wrapped them around its body, forming an airtight black defensive barrier. As soon as she reacted, the entire island abruptly disappeared from the surface of the ocean. Everything on the island was reduced to dust. Only the god of life remained. Aarg, the god of life, uttered a heart-wrenching scream. Such an attack was so terrifying that even if she managed to react in time, she still suffered a certain amount of damage. Large amounts of her black tentacles were bleeding profusely as they fell off her body. But the god of life couldn't care less about these tentacles. Her expression was full of fear. That's right, this is that thing. Detestable soul shrieker. Prisoner. The prisoner is coming. The god of life muttered incoherently. All of a sudden, an indistinct song resounded in the sky. The god of life displayed a frenzied expression as she muttered, I want to live. I want to live. I don't want to die. She abruptly reached out with one hand and stabbed it straight into her chest. A beating heart was clawed out by it. Dong dong, dong dong, dong dong. The heart gave off a heavy thumping sound. The god of life looked at this heart and hysterically screamed, Death God, before you disappeared, you once promised me that you would use all of your divine power to manifest a heart and die in my place once. She crushed the heart. Instantly, another god of life appeared from the void of space. Ah, I'm saved. Hurry, teleport me back. The real god of life laughed. A flash of light descended from above, enveloped her, and instantly left this world. Within the fog, the god of life continued to move forward. She had traveled through the endless years and boundless space-time to return to the place she was summoned from. The battlefield between the Wraith Realm and the Eternal Abyss. Originally, she was leading the carriers of chaos to fight against the Abyss. I'm saved. I'm saved. I'm finally alive, the god of life muttered in relief. She looked around the battlefield. Several powerful carriers of chaos were still standing respectfully by her side. How long was I gone? The god of life coldly asked. Your Excellency, you've disappeared for about half an hour, one carrier of chaos replied. How was the battle? It's almost over. The abyss can't resist at all. The Wraith Realm's forces have already reached the front lines. Our people didn't move because we didn't receive your orders, the god of life nodded. Before she left, the Wraith Realm and carriers of chaos had already grasped the entire situation and would soon defeat the abyss. From the looks of it, the situation was developing exactly as everyone had expected. The apotheotic combat path was a path of certain death. With a prisoner appearing from the very beginning, there was no way anyone could win. Unfortunately, both the Soul Shrieker and those who challenged it had lived for too long, so they didn't know what a prisoner was. They would all die. The only one who would survive would be themselves. While the god of life was feeling fortunate, two carriers of chaos arrived in front of her and reported, True deity, the Wraith Lord of the Wraith Realm has come to visit invite him. He understood. A few moments later, a resounding laughter resounded. Ah, deity of chaos, you are our loyal ally. You contributed greatly to the victory of the war. The Wraith Lord brought several dozen subordinates with him to this side of the battlefield. He raised his hand and tossed something over. The god of life received it and saw that it was a crystal that gave off a bright yellow light, filled with naturally formed divine script. This was a divine crystal. Even in the inner plane of the past, this would have been a good item. The god of life felt glad and asked, Thank you, Wraith Lord, for your sudden visit. What is the matter? It's like this. While we were attacking the abyss, the tomb of myriad beasts suddenly ambushed us, so I had no choice but to return to deal with their ambush. The tomb of myriad beasts. The god of life was surprised. One of the Samsara, powerful and not at all inferior to us, the Wraith Lord replied. The god of life naturally understood, so she continued. Ah, you mean this place is basically fine. The abyss only has a tiny bit of fighting force left, so I want you to lead your people to take charge of the upcoming battle, while I return to fight another battle, the Wraith Lord said. The god of life released her telepathy to scan through almost every location on the battlefield. The corpses of abyssal monsters were everywhere. The Wraiths had already won. Even on this side of the battlefield, the carriers of chaos had already begun to rest. This wasn't a big deal at all. The god of life stroked the divine crystal in her hand and thought for a bit. Very well. Leave it to me. The Wraith Lord clasped his fist. Thank you. After I kill all the invading beasts, I will reward you generously. Wraith Lord is too polite. The god of life smiled. Then I'll hand over my military authority, Wraith Lord said with a smile. No problem. The Wraith Lord passed down the order. On the battlefield, the Wraiths silently retreated. The god of life commanded the carriers of chaos to quickly take over the battlefield. The Wraith Lord exchanged a few more words with the god of life, then led the Wraiths away. The subordinates followed the Wraith Lord into the space vortex, released a kind of bone shuttle, and sat on it. The shuttle gradually sped up, heading in the opposite direction of the battlefield. Once he was completely out of the god of life's range of detection, the Wraith Lord couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Ghost Lord. His attendants immediately surrounded him. The Wraith Lord wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and asked in a low voice, How far are we from the teleportation point? The attendant replied, Reporting to my lord, there's still 13,000 miles left. The Wraith Lord panted heavily. Don't worry about anything else. We can accelerate right now. Full speed ahead. We need to escape from that place as soon as possible. Hurry. Yes. The bone shuttle emitted a layer of pale green light, and at the same time, an ear-piercing buzzing sound rang out. It started to accelerate at full speed. Chapter 1248. The battlefield. The god of life had arrived at the center of the battlefield. She released her telepathy to carefully examine the corpses around her. All the abyssal forms were dead, killed by the Wraiths in various ways that should be seen in war. The Wraiths had also paid the price. The corpses of the wraiths littered all over the ground, as well as quite a few carriers of chaos, were proof enough. The god of life slowly calmed down. In truth, after the Wraith Lord left, she had already noticed something amiss. The Wraith Lord left in too much of a hurry. Although he appeared to be very calm, spoke very naturally, and didn't make any mistakes during the entire process, he came too suddenly and left too quickly. This could be interpreted as the strict obedience of the military. But if one were to think about it, wouldn't it also seem a bit strange? The god of life silently thought. A carrier of chaos flew in front of her and knelt down on one knee. Report. The entire battlefield has been thoroughly investigated. All abyssal forms have died in battle. Nothing was left out. The god of life sighed in relief. Could it be that I was thinking too much? While thinking that, she ordered, begin to clean up the battlefield, understood the carrier of chaos, was glad, and went to relay the order. Cleaning up the battlefield was the same as picking up treasures. All weapons, armor, treasures, and even the corpses of unique abyssal forms that were left behind on the battlefield were valuable, worthy of being cleaned up and put away. The god of life only agreed to the Wraith Lord's request because she obtained the divine crystal in this lucrative task, as well as the fact that the war was completely one-sided and they had already won. She had always been cautious. Following her order, the carriers of chaos began to move. For the next few dozen minutes, the cleanup went very smoothly. Although most of the items on the battlefield weren't worthy of the god of life's attention and were casually given to the carriers of chaos, there were always one or two items that even she couldn't help but want to take for herself. This was truly a windfall. Time slowly passed. Everything was normal, nothing out of the ordinary. It wasn't until the entire battlefield was cleaned up that the carriers of chaos discovered a large crater at the edge of the battlefield. This crater didn't seem out of the ordinary at first glance, so much so that when they carefully examined it, they would find that it was completely empty, a barren wasteland. But among the carriers of chaos, there was a particularly capable scout. He found something strange. Your Excellency, true god, that place has been completely concealed by a wraith technique and talisman, turned into a world isolated from us. This is a classic world technique, an extremely rare one. Fortunately, this lowly one has a special scouting ability that can detect the overlapping of worlds. Otherwise, we wouldn't have noticed it at all. The scout boasted of his achievements. The god of life nodded and accepted her boasting. That place had not even been discovered by it, but had been discovered by someone with special searching abilities. It could be seen that in the infinite worlds, being strong wasn't always better than others. The god of life asked, "What do you think the wraiths are trying to hide from us?" The leaders of chaos exchanged glances. "True god, I'm guessing it's some sort of treasure," someone said. "Treasure?" the god of life asked. "Yes, it's a special treasure that they can't take with them. They can only leave it here in secret. After we leave, they'll send someone to open that world technique and excavate what's inside." The god of life pondered. "They can't take it with them." Another carrier of chaos replied, "That's right, Your Excellency. On the battlefield, whenever the wraiths see anything good, they would steal it away like a pack of wolves and tigers, leaving us with no share. If their world wasn't currently being attacked, they wouldn't be in such a hurry to return." The god of life thought for a bit. The abyss had already lost. If this place that the wraiths were hiding was truly dangerous, the Wraith Lord wouldn't act like he was completely unharmed. He would be furious, attack with everything he had, and gather more people. The god of life quickly asked, "During the time I wasn't here, did the Wraith Lord act at all?" "He didn't." The carriers of chaos all answered in unison. The Wraith Lord didn't act. Instead, he used a world technique to seal that place and hide it from others. The Wraith Lord hurried back to save his Wraith realm. The god of life nodded. That makes sense. At the very least, before the Wraith Lord left, he didn't mention a single word about this world technique to me. The carriers of chaos all looked at her with a hint of passion in their eyes. "Your Excellency, true deity," someone hesitantly asked. "There's nothing to say. Come with me to take a look," the god of life said. She led the carriers of chaos to the edge of the battlefield and looked down at the deep crater. I do have a way to break this world technique. Let's see how powerful this Wraith Lord's world technique is. Saying so, the god of life reached out several black tentacles towards the deep crater. The carriers of chaos held their breaths and waited. As soon as the tentacles reached a few meters down, the entire crater abruptly trembled. A second later, bam, like an illusion, the crater completely disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. The warped space was slowly returning to normal. Your Excellency, true deity, your power is truly admirable. Indeed, our deity is truly impressive. Ahaha, the Wraith's careful arrangements have been destroyed. The carriers of chaos all laughed. The god of life froze. I didn't even have time to do anything. The Wraith Lord's world technique is so fragile. What exactly was he hiding? The god of life and the others all looked towards the slowly returning space. Space slowly returned to normal. Instantly, countless blood-curdling screams resounded. Within the deep pit, countless wraiths appeared, all of them desperately attacking a single direction. That direction was the innermost part of the crater. An eyeball with a diameter of several hundred meters was silently hovering there. None of their attacks managed to land on this eyeball. While the wraiths that attacked the eyeball collapsed in droves, dying right in front of the eyeball. Countless corpses. The corpses of the wraiths. The corpses on the ground had already piled up to the size of a small mountain. The war had always been intense. Or rather, this was a war that had no chance of winning in the first place. With a single sweep of the eyeball, the wraiths were instantly killed. Their bodies fell to the ground and stopped moving. The remaining wraiths that were still alive tried their best to unleash everything they had to attack the eyeball. But the eyeball didn't pay any attention to these wraiths, only moving around unconsciously, appearing extremely stiff. There weren't many wraiths left. Finally, some of the wraiths noticed the situation outside. Look, it's the carriers of chaos. The Lord has safely left. What? They really are carriers of chaos. It seems Sir Wraith Lord is safe. The remaining wraiths reacted as if they had been pardoned, turning around and fleeing for their lives. The god of life understood the situation at a glance. The Wraith Lord had given up on so many wraiths just to buy time for himself so that he could escape. Without hesitation, the god of life turned around and flew back the way she came. What a joke. Even the Wraith Lord and the countless wraiths couldn't deal with that eyeball. Even the Wraith Lord had run away. The god of life felt extreme fear. She increased her speed to the limit, like a streak of light, instantly traversing through the entire battlefield. The void of space parted on both sides of her. The light of countless worlds overlapped, allowing her to choose as she pleased. The god of life immediately chose a desolate world and was about to run into it. At this time, perhaps it was the god of life's powerful presence, or perhaps it was the light of countless worlds. Regardless, the eyeball abruptly looked up at the god of life. Following the eyeball's movement, the wraiths that had turned around, as well as the carriers of chaos that hadn't reacted in time, all froze. They lost their vitality, and their bodies turned into quicksand, scattering on the ground. Everyone died. Only the god of life was left hovering in midair, unable to move at all. Who are you? A voice resounded in the god of life's mind. The god of life tried to use countless spells, but still couldn't move a single inch. She finally understood her situation. I beg you, don't kill me. I can serve you. The god of life turned around, stared at the giant eyeball, and replied. The eyeball stared straight at her. The voice continued to resound in the god of life's mind. Who are you? The god of life noticed the other party's impatience and hurriedly replied. I am the god of life, one of the deities of the inner plane, the current deity of chaos, god of life. Inner plane? Let me think for a bit, the voice continued. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. The god of life's body turned into sand and completely scattered in the wind. A deity that had lived for countless years. A deity that was willing to eat its own offspring to survive. Just like that, he died so easily. A few moments later, The voice resounded again. Deity? It can't even withstand my thoughts. What a fragile existence. At another location, the ocean, two crossing fish were sailing through the waves. Look, Yi Fei Li said. Gu Qingshan and Zhang Yongho looked up. At the end of the ocean was a stone wall that connected heaven and earth. Lines of gray text appeared in front of their eyes. Frowny face, due to your outstanding performance earlier, you arrived half an hour early. This is the secret wall of oblivion of chaos. Behind the secret wall lies the secret of chaos, fighting against the apocalypse. Chaos is a key. It can help you unlock the secret of the darkness, but you must be in awe. Otherwise, not even your bones will remain. Attention. The next apocalypse will arrive in 17 minutes. You must quickly find a way to pass through. The secret wall. Come. Miao Shu Wu. Chapter 1249. The three of them looked at the notification in front of them. Look, this notification says that chaos is a key. Could it be that the deity of chaos is the deity of keys? Zhang Yongho asked. Yi Fei Li found his words to be quite interesting and said, if it really is the deity of keys, then this notification means that as a key, we need to be careful, otherwise it might break when we insert into the lock. The three of them went silent. It really does hurt. Gu Qingshan continued. If secrets are considered as locks or doors, then for us, chaos should be a guide, guiding its true deity to do something. What exactly is it going to do? Zhang Yongho pondered. I'm guessing it's to fight against the apocalypse. Gu Qingshan replied. The other two looked at him. As we saw just now, chaos can imprison the apocalypse, so it should be the same as order existing to fight against the apocalypse, Gu Qingshan said. Then why are order and chaos incompatible like fire and water? Isn't it good for them to be united? Zhang Yongho didn't quite understand. I have a feeling that this apotheotic combat will give us an answer, Gu Qingshan said. While the three of them were talking, the two crossing fish had already approached the wall. This was a giant wall that connected heaven and earth, left, right, top, and bottom to the point where they couldn't even see the end. A truly shocking sight. The crossing fish slowed down and floated to a stop 5 meters away from the wall leap. On the wall, there were mountains, rivers, farms, castles, as well as various living beings. At this point, it was already nightfall. The castles and buildings were all lit up with sparks of fire. The world was silent. This wall was a world of its own. Standing outside of this world, the three of them felt like they were looking at a boundless map. How wondrous! Yi Fei Li spat out 2 words. Lines of gray notification once again appeared in front of the three of them. Frowny face, you've discovered the legendary world. The Great Gate of Immemorial. The following points must be noted upon entering this world. 1. Those who enter this world have the same personal strength as all other living beings in this world. No exceptions. 2. You can only choose one extraordinary power to use within an hour. All other powers will be sealed. 3. In 10 minutes, the apocalypse will descend upon the immemorial gate. You must hurry up and find a way to survive. Final hint. Entering the world of the ancient Great Gate will definitely result in a fall. Please protect your head. The three of them looked at each other in dismay. There are living beings in this world. Seems like they know how to avoid those apocalypses, Zhang Yongho concluded. But the most important thing is the people in this world are all about the same level of strength. Yi Fei Li asked in confusion. Gu Qingshan patted his shoulder and said, yes, but you don't have to care about strength at all. Why? Yi Fei Li asked. Gu Qingshan explained. Even if everyone's strength is the same, everyone's personality, experience, judgment, and courage are all different. Each of these factors can decide the outcome of a battle. Zhang Yongho patted Yi Fei Li's other shoulder and added, aside from supernatural powers, there are also various combat techniques, all of which require one to train and comprehend in situations of life and death. Yi Fei Li looked at Zhang Yongho, then at Gu Qingshan and relaxed. With experts of your caliber here, I feel very safe. Gu Qingshan and Zhang Yongho exchanged glances. Let's not waste any time. Got it. The two of them pressed down on Yi Fei Li's shoulders and pushed him into the wall. Wait! Dash! Before Yi Fei Li could finish his sentence, he had already fallen into the other world, into a lake. Zhang Young-ho and Gu Qing-shan followed suit. Bam! Bam! Water splashed everywhere. The three of them floated up to the surface, groped around in the dark, and swam to the shore. My spirit energy has been suppressed to Foundation Establishment Realm, Gu Qing-shan said. He used his spirit energy to evaporate the water on his body. The red glow around Yi Fei Li's body intensified, quickly condensing the water into a ball and threw it back into the lake. I'm also at this level, he spat out some water and said. Next time, if you want to push me, tell me first. No, Zhang Young-ho refused. When you're swimming, suddenly pushing someone in the water is the most fun thing to do. Zhang Young-ho's body shook a bit, then quickly changed into a clean set of clothes. The two of them looked at him. How interesting. Even Gu Qing-shan couldn't tell how he did it. Noticing their gazes, Zhang Young-ho shrugged. Regardless of whether it's going to bar or killing someone, maintaining one's image is a very important thing. He put away the sniper rifle on his back, then put the two revolvers on his waist and said, We don't have much time. We need to choose the supernatural powers we can use for the first hour. The three of them looked at the void of space in front of them, only to see that their supernatural powers have been displayed on the UI, and there was only one that they could choose from. Yi Fei Li glanced over and said, Look, there's no rule that says we have to choose right now. In other words, we can choose later. Gu Qing-shan immediately said, If that's the case, Fei Li and I shouldn't choose for now. We'll choose later. What about me? Zhang Young-ho asked. Gu Qing-shan replied, There's still 7 minutes before the apocalypse. We need a guide to help us find a place to take refuge. Got it. Zhang Young-ho chose his supernatural power. He knocked the ground a few times and asked, Precious, where are you? Meow. A large hole appeared on the ground as the black cat jumped out. Meow, meow, meow. The black cat meowed softly. Its eyes were glowing brightly in the darkness of the night, and its body was a lot bigger than before. After its previous evolution, its ability had become even stronger. Zhang Young-ho picked up the cat and gently told it, Aha, it's like this. The apocalypse is about to come. We need to find a place to take refuge. The black cat put its paw on its mouth. Zhang Young-ho looked up at Gu Qing-shan. That won't do. We need to find something to feed it first before it can show us the way. This is the rule of activating the ability. Gu Qing-shan looked at Yi Fei Li and asked, Do you have any more instant noodles? Yes, Yi Fei Li replied. Meow, 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 meow. The black cat suddenly protested. Zhang Young-ho wiped the sweat off his forehead and said, It doesn't eat instant noodles. Gu Qing-shan and Yi Fei Li exchanged glances. 6 minutes left, Yi Fei Li said. Gu Qing-shan asked the black cat, I say, what do you want to eat? We need to have an idea before we can make it happen, the black cat replied. Meow, 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 meow. Zhang Young-ho sighed and said, It wants to eat strawberry cake. Gu Qing-shan looked at the black cat and said, Look, we're in a dangerous situation right now. Can you be a bit more lenient and eat noodles first? The black cat showed a helpless expression and said, Meow, meow, meow. Meow, 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 Zhang Young-ho said. It said that it didn't know we were in such a situation, so it had already chosen the food it wanted to eat as soon as it appeared. According to the rules, this food can't be changed, and as long as it can't be eaten, it won't be able to use its ability. The three people and one cat all froze. 3 minutes left, Yi Fei Li said. Gu Qing-shan suddenly said, Yi Fei Li, cook the noodles, huh? Yi Fei Li didn't know how to react. Zhang Young-ho emphasized, It doesn't eat instant noodles. Gu Qing-shan sighed. Let me try you? The two of them asked at the same time. I've chosen the supernatural ability for this hour. Saying so, Gu Qing-shan copied Zhang Young-ho and knocked on ground. A large hole also appeared on the ground. Another black cat jumped out. Zhang Young-ho and Yi Fei Li opened their eyes wide. This is, Zhang Young-ho said. I'll borrow your ability for a bit, Gu Qing-shan said. But this cat, there's no other way. So I found a cameo, Gu Qing-shan said. The three people's gazes fell onto the cat. Exactly the same. This cat was the exact same as the black cat that Jang Young-ho had. Even the length of its whiskers were the same. However, this black cat seemed to be a bit wronged. It was listlessly squatting there, squinting its eyes and looking down at the ground. Gu Qin-shan crouched down and consoled it. "It's fine. It's just turning into a cat. I've done it before." The black cat didn't move. Gu Qin-shan continued, "Come, I'll give you a bit of compensation as a form of mental comfort." He put his hand on the black cat's head and transferred 100,000 soul points into it. The black cat was now a bit more spirited, barely managed to look up, and called out, "Shio, shio, shio. Calm. Miao shuwu calm." Chapter 1250. "How did you do that?" Jang Young-ho asked. Gu Qin-shan stroked the cat. This guy was a stowaway, or rather, chaos allowed it to exist. After it came in, it was also able to choose a supernatural ability every hour. So, I chose the same ability and activated it at the same time. That's how it is now. Yi Fei Li brought the bowl of instant noodles over. The black cat took a bite, chewed a bit, then spat it out. "Shio." It patted its stomach to signal that it was full. Gu Qin-shan, Jang Young-ho, "How perfunctory. These are the noodles that I meticulously made." Yi Fei Li picked up the bowl of instant noodles and complained. "I'm sorry. It only needs to eat the origin power of souls," Gu Qin-shan replied. All of a sudden, their expressions changed at the same time. There were only 2 minutes left on the chaos. UI. Gu Qin-shan said, "Adorable. The apocalypse is coming. Let's see if there's anywhere we can hide from it." The black cat pointed its paw at the lake and said, "Meow. Shio shio." Gu Qin-shan nodded and praised. "Very good. Seems like your identity is quite good." The three of them immediately went back into the lake. They followed the black cat, dove into the depths of the lake, swam a long distance, and arrived next to a large rock at the bottom of the lake. The black cat pointed at the rock. Gu Qin-shan walked up to take a closer look. There was a door hidden underneath the rock. Gu Qin-shan opened the door. A long flight of stone steps appeared in front of them. This flight of stone steps led deep underground. Next to the stone steps was a sign that read frowny face attention. "Please remember to close the door after entering. Tonight at 8 p.m., the apocalypse will descend. Type dark assimilation. If you're tired of the endless apocalypse, please come to the Night Shade Bar to pass the time." The Night Shade Bar, 30 kilometers down this road. At this point, the bottom of the lake suddenly became even darker. The three of them looked up. The moonlight and starlight on the lake had completely disappeared. The darkness that was so thick that it could not be dispersed was slowly but surely covering everything. Time was up. Doomsday had begun. The three of them no longer hesitated. They quickly snuck into the door and closed it from the inside. Following the stone steps down for several hundred meters, an invisible barrier kept the lake water outside. The three of them stood on the stone steps, dripping wet. Yi Fei Li looked at Gu Qin-shan and asked, "Where's your cat?" "It's only a temporary guest appearance. It's only going to perform once, so it's going back now," Gu Qin-shan replied. The two of them began to evaporate the water on their bodies. "If I had known, I wouldn't have changed," Jang Young-ho complained. He shook himself and immediately changed into a black leather jacket, jeans, and sunglasses. The black cat sat on his shoulder. "A bar where you can hide from the apocalypse." Jang Young-ho clapped his hands and said with interest, "Yes, that's the guide that black cat gave us. Perhaps not only can we hide from the apocalypse here, we can also find some information. After all, this is chaos territory. We've never heard of such a place before," Gu Qin-shan commented. "A completely unfamiliar world. There might be a lot of treasures and mysterious powers hidden here," Jang Young-ho muttered. "Then what are we waiting for?" Yi Fei Li asked. The three of them quickly followed the stone steps. A few minutes later, 2 wolves appeared in front of them. "The Night Shade Bar welcomes you. Please pay the entrance fee," one of the wolves said. "Do we have to pay here?" Gu Qin-shan asked. "That's right. You'll enter the Night Shade Bar from here. Your supernatural abilities will be refreshed once," the other wolf replied. "Refresh means," Jang Young-ho said. The other wolf replied, "You can choose the supernatural ability you want to use again. That's right, fair, but what do you want?" Gu Qin-shan asked. "Currency," utensils, treasures, weapons, information. Anything of value is fine. Gu Qingsha nodded and reached for her waist. But she found nothing. That's right, to maintain the Crimson Demon Divine Spear. As power, she gave up her entire inventory bag, so Gu Qingshan didn't have a single cent on her right now. You don't have any money? One of the wolves squinted his eyes. I do. Yi Fei Li walked forward and casually tossed a small bag to him. The wolf received the bag, touched it with his hand, and poured out a few shiny gems. Top quality goods, the other wolf praised, then gestured for his companions to make way. They both bowed. Welcome to the Nightshade Bar, esteemed guests. Yi Fei Li then took out a few dark gold coins, stuffed them into their hands, and whispered, This is our first time here. Is there anything I can tell you? Receiving the coins, the two wolves' attitude became even better. The bar doesn't have any rules. As long as you have money, you can buy anything here, as well as enjoy any esteemed service, one of the wolves replied. The bar isn't responsible for anyone's safety. We don't care about any conflicts or killings between our guests. But if there's anything that has too great of an impact, it must be carried out through gambling. Those who don't listen will be directly transported into the apocalypse. Their miserable state will be broadcasted in real time in the bar. This is the reason why our bar's business is so good. The other wolf excitedly grinded his teeth. Please enjoy as much as you want. The two wolves said in unison. Thank you, Yi Fei Li said. The three of them followed the stairs. Hey, Yi Fei Li, how did you get your hands on those rare gems? Zhang Youngho couldn't help but ask. While walking, Yi Fei Li explained, last time, Lola came to me and told me that after a while of observation, she found that I'm a decent fellow, as well as a good friend of Gu Qingshan's. So, as an official Duke of the Bramblebird Kingdom, I can't afford to lose face for the kingdom. So I have to pay attention to all aspects. Get to the point. Zhang Youngho asked. Yi Fei Li tried her best to appear calm and said, Then she gave me a world, a bit bigger than our world, filled with treasures all the way to the top of the sky. She said that this world of treasures would be my allowance for this month, so I'll use it for now and ask her for more if I don't have enough. Zhang Youngho. Gu Qingshan. Zhang Youngho blanked out for a while before sighing. I've been lost on the long road of life for too long. It wasn't until just now that I finally found the right direction to work towards. As Gu Qingshan was about to say something, she suddenly stopped. The other two also stopped. Lines of gray text began to appear on their chaos UI. Attention! After passing through the barrier 300 meters in front of you, you will enter the Nightshade Bar. You have entered the bar's range. From now on, your supernatural abilities can be refreshed. Please refresh your supernatural abilities when necessary. Attention! You still need to find a way to pass through the secret wall. The three of them followed the instructions and continued forward, finally seeing a semi-transparent barrier at the end of the road. We're here, Yi Fei Li said. Let's go. Let's go, Gu Qingshan said. The three of them entered the barrier. The world around them instantly changed. Deafening sound waves filled the entire area. Colorful lights shone down, illuminating the bar amidst the cheers and shouts of countless people. On the stage, the Beast Race Alluring Snake Woman and the Demon Race's Snow White Demon Race's Yuki Woman were dancing to the music, leading dozens of beauties behind them. Alcohol, smoke, beauties, lights, and... Dash, where did this human trash come from? Weakling, get the hell out of here. A muscular two-headed demon was completely drunk, swinging the giant blade in his hand towards Gu Qingshan's group. Gu Qingshan's hand moved, then stopped. Next to her, a revolver appeared in Zhang Youngho's hand. Bang! With a single gunshot, the demon's two heads exploded and fell to the ground. Double Blossom? It's been a long time since I've seen such skill with firearms, Gu Qingshan praised him. I've known it since I was 7. It's just a basic skill, Zhang Youngho replied. Blood filled the air. A group of men and women rushed forward, madly sucking in the scent of blood in the air. The waiters didn't say a word and dragged the demon's body away. One of them told Gu Qingshan's group, Welcome, new guests. Would you like some liquor? Strong liquor, preferably your bar's signature liquor, Gu Qingshan replied. Yi Fei Li tossed a gem to the waiters, then gave them a gold coin and smiled. Do it, ah. Wait a moment. I'll bring it to you right away. The waiters accepted the gold coin and nodded. He then went to the bar to get some liquor. While the three of them were waiting, another waiter suddenly stood on the stage and loudly declared, "Tonight's first dish, roasted two-headed demon. Guess who won it? Please go to the first area to prepare your meal." Quite a few people stopped dancing and headed to the other end of the bar. "I want to eat its heart. I've never eaten such a demon before. You have to trust in this bar's skills. They can handle every part of it perfectly. Is that so? I want to eat that demon's heart." They slowly walked away. Gu Shan patted Jang Young-ho's shoulder and said, "You killed that guy, but no one seems to care. Seems like this place really doesn't care about anything." Jang Young-ho put the revolver back on his hip and muttered, I like this place." Chapter 1251. Dong. Yi Fei put the glass on the counter with a pained expression. "What's the matter?" Jang Young-ho asked. "The liquor is too strong. As you know, I can't handle hard liquor," Yi Fei replied. Gu Shan snapped her fingers at the bartender behind the counter. "I'll have a glass of sparkling wine." "And do you have strawberry cake?" Gu Shan asked. "We do have sparkling wine, strawberry." "What's that?" the bartender asked. Gu Shan formed a hand seal to manifest a screen of light to show the appearance of a strawberry. "Ah, it's the crimson flame fruit. Please wait a moment." The bartender casually took out a handful of seeds and chanted an incantation. The seeds in his hand quickly sprouted, grew green leaves and flowers, then bore a plump strawberry fruit. The bartender picked the fruit and handed it to another waiter. "Go to the kitchen and find the pastry chef. I want a cake." The waiter left. A few moments later, the cake was served. "Thank you." Gu Shan nodded to greet the bartender. Yi Fei took out a gold coin and put it on the counter. "At your service." The bartender smiled and accepted the coin. Jang Young-ho then put the black cat down from his shoulder and whispered, "Baby, this is the strawberry cake you wanted to eat. After you're done, take us to find the path through this world. Meow." The black cat happily called out. It lowered its head and ate the cake bit by bit. Taking advantage of this, Yi Fei took a sip of the sparkling wine and relaxed his eyebrows. "I should have drunk this a long time ago. I really don't understand how you can drink such strong liquor." He smacked his lips. "You drank too quickly. There's no need for that. Drinking is for relaxation and rest. There's no need to rush it." Gu Shan slowly took a sip. "That's right. This liquor is quite good. I need to slowly savor it." Jang Young-ho offered his glass to her. The two of them clinked glasses. The three of them drank while watching the dancing beauties. Looking across the entire bar, apart from those who were dead drunk, the creatures of various races were basically in human form. It seems the appearance of humans wasn't limited to the 900 million world layers, but was also used as a standard of communication here. However, the women of the various races racked their brains to slightly reveal the characteristics of their own race on the basis of their human forms in order to attract more attention. The Lamia, leading the dance, looked like a human from head to toe. That exceptionally soft waist and a pair of light green vertical pupils made it clear that she was not a human. As for the Snow Maiden, even though she also had the appearance of a human, her skin was whiter than snow, and her beauty was unparalleled. Her entire body was surrounded by a frosty mist, and as she moved, ice crystals would sway along with her, reflecting colorful light. What a beautiful dance! Someone below the stage cheered and threw a green fruit at the Lamia. When the Lamia saw the green fruit, she stretched out her hand to catch it and threw a coquettish glance at the man in front of the stage. The three of them continued drinking while waiting for the black cat to finish eating the cake. A fragrant smell came, only to see a panicked young girl crawling into the bar in front of the three of them and hurriedly begged, "Please, I beg you. We're all humans. Please save me." The three of them looked at her, only to see that she was a 16 to 17-year-old girl with pale skin and a beautiful appearance. But her expression was full of panic. She was human. Yi Fei met the begging gaze of the young girl, then turned to Gu Shan. Gu Shan lowered her head to drink. Yi Fei could only pat Jang Young-ho's shoulder. Jang Young-ho shrugged and asked the young girl, "What happened? Why are you here?" The young girl replied, "My world was destroyed, then I mysteriously ended up here, unable to find a way to leave. We also don't know how to leave," Jang Young-ho sighed. "But you have freedom. I've been captured." Before the young girl even finished, a few bulky men had already rushed over. "Let's go," a bald man with a full beard said. He caught the young girl and quickly dragged her into the crowd. Before leaving, she looked at the three of them and kept calling for help. Gu Qingshan didn't say anything. Jang Young-ho only glanced at her briefly before continuing to drink his liquor. Yi Fei couldn't help but stand up and walk towards those people. "Stop," he shouted. Those people actually stopped and looked at him. "What do you want?" The leader of the group asked in a hoarse voice. "This girl isn't with you," Yi Fei said. Those people exchanged glances, then let go of the young girl and walked towards Yi Fei. "Nosy brat, have you asked your parents for permission before coming out to provoke us? Kill him. Go." They suddenly attacked. Seeing that, the young girl didn't care about anything else and ran away. She wanted to take this chance to run away. A bright red glow appeared around Yi Fei's body as he took a defensive stance. But then, a second later, corpses scattered all over the ground. The group of people turned from alive to broken corpses. A cold gleam flashed, slowly flew back behind Gu Qingshan and disappeared into the void of space. The bar went silent. Everyone's strength was about the same, but no one knew how he did it. No one knew how those people died. Gu Qingshan slowly took a sip of her drink and put an intricate bramble bird pendant on the bar. "Huh, isn't that my inventory device?" Yi Fei was surprised. Jang Young-ho patted the revolver on his hip and grinned. "That chick stole your inventory device. I wanted to blow her head off, but Gu Qingshan stole it back, so I let it slide." Yi Fei looked at Gu Qingshan. "Ah, it's nothing. She's far from a beginner's level when it comes to stealing." Gu Qingshan raised her glass to him. Yi Fei sat back down and downed his drink in one go. "Ing Hao, did you also notice that just now?" he asked. Jang Young-ho casually replied, "I'm in charge of a hitman guild after all, so I've seen all kinds of people, so of course I've seen this kind of thing a lot." Hearing that, Yi Fei felt a bit dejected. "It's fine," Jang Young-ho consoled her. "I was already a veteran back then, but ever since I entered the 900 million world layers, I've been scammed so many times. Is that so?" Yi Fei looked up at him. "Of course, do you think everyone is like you, becoming a duke as soon as they leave home? That's more than enough for the rest of their lives," Jang Young-ho replied. A few servants quickly came up to clean up the blood and corpses on the ground. They seemed to be very experienced, as their actions were quick and clean. In the blink of an eye, the ground returned to normal. All of a sudden, the girl appeared again. Behind her were several black-clothed men with grim expressions. "Those who dare to kill our people will have to pay the price." One of the black-clothed men spoke. Suddenly, all of their heads exploded. A few flowers of blood turned into mist in the air and filled the air. One shot to the head. All dead. Jang Young-ho twirled his revolver a bit before putting it back into his belt. "I'm sorry, under the same level of strength, not many people can talk and still live in front of me at the same time," he shrugged. It was now that Gu Qingshan looked at the girl and nodded. "Do as you please. No one will hold you back anymore." The girl froze. She suddenly knelt on the ground and began to cry loudly. Everyone around them coldly watched. Yi Fei looked at Gu Qingshan, then at Jang Young-ho. Both of them were expressionless. Yi Fei couldn't help himself and helped the girl up. "Don't be afraid. It'll be fine," he gently told her. Wah wah wah. The girl lay in his arms, wanting to cry out all of the pain and suffering she was feeling. She suddenly looked up, wanting to kiss Yi Fei. Yi Fei hurriedly turned his head away and said, "No need." The girl kissed his neck. Yi Fei felt his entire body go numb, unable to move at all. The girl suddenly grabbed him, pulled him in front of her, then placed a gleaming dagger on his neck. The final test had finally succeeded. According to her earlier investigation, these three were the richest people in the entire bar. She laughed out loud. "Aha! The two of you over there, hand over all the good stuff you have, or I'll kill him." She looked at the bar. Jang Young-ho was sitting there with a glass of liquor in his hand, casually looking at her with a regretful expression. The other person, where's the other person? The girl suddenly felt the world spinning around her. Bam! Her head fell to the ground, spilling blood that dyed the floor crimson. Gu Qin-shan was standing behind her, just sheathing her sword. Not good at stealing and very stiff at acting, he casually commented. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.